Lux presents Hollywood. Lever Brothers Company brings you the Lux Radio Theater, starring Alan Ladd and Veronica Lake in O.S.S. Ladies and gentlemen, your producer, Mr. William Keighley.
Greetings from Hollywood, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Lux Radio Theater's presentation of Paramount's gripping screenplay, O.S.S., starring Alan Ladd in his original role, co-starred with the talented and lovely Veronica Lake. In introducing tonight's play, I'd like to quote from Major General William J. Donovan, who, during the war, directed the Office of Strategic Services. He says, "While the characters in this motion picture are fictitious, the story is based on a composite of actual incidents in the diversified activities of the Office of Strategic Services, which conducted intelligence, special operations, and unorthodox methods of warfare in support of Allied military operations. It is a tribute to the brave, resourceful men and women, living and dead, who volunteered for these dangerous assignments." In other words, tonight's play is more than thrilling entertainment. It is a glimpse into the hazardous, behind-the-lines activities of those loyal Americans who paved the way for victory, whose lives depended hour by hour on meticulous attention to the smallest detail. An agent of the O.S.S. could not afford to look well-fed in a country living on starvation diets, well-dressed among ill-clad people, or well-groomed in a land where soap was non-existent. Behind the lines, I'm sure a Lux complexion would have been a certain giveaway among women of the O.S.S., just as it's a hallmark of good grooming among women in civilian life. In fact, I can think of no better countersign or password for admission to the League of Lovely Women than Lux Toilet Soap. From LTS, we take you now to O.S.S., starring Alan Ladd as Martin and Veronica Lake as Ellen. Here's the curtain for Act One. It's 1943. In a colonial mansion set in the peaceful Virginia countryside, a group of men, some young, some middle-aged, are gathered for a meeting. From their looks, it could be a salesman's convention. Closer still, a get-together of college alumni. But the lesson these men are learning was never taught in any college.
There's nothing superhuman about being a good intelligence agent. Yes, it takes guts, brains, and patience. But this is a new game to us. You trainees are average Americans, and the average Americans are not brought up to fight the way the enemy fights. But we can learn to become agents and saboteurs if we have to. One of these days, you'll be working in Axis territory. You'll be on the spot every minute of the day or night. Your only chance will be to beat the enemy to the punch. Forget everything you've ever been told about that your country is fighting for its life. That's all for now. Radio laboratory at 10 o'clock. Camera room at noon. Dismissed. Come in, Commander Brady. Sorry to drag you out this time of night, but I've just had a visitor. General Donovan. Well, your orders have come through.
Operations in France, Colonel?
Right.
Well, when do we start, sir?
Now. The job won't be finished until our troops cross the Rhine. You've got two things to do. First, get information. Second, work with the French underground and sabotage key enemy installations. Now look at this map. These railway lines that feed this area here, around the city of Orleans. Right here is one of our priorities. Except we'll need one more. Someone who knows the district, someone to contact the French underground there.
What about a woman? They can often get through where a man can't. Personnel in London could recruit.
I'd rather see if we can find one here first. Well, see that Gates, Martin, and Boucher stay put. You too, Commander. I'll be needing your help in finding that girl.
So this is where you live, Miss Rogers.
This is it, Mr. Brady.
Alone?
Oh, no, with Jean-Jacques, my cat. Well, it's been very nice meeting you. Thanks for a lovely evening.
You're welcome.
I'm really very glad Uncle Arthur asked you to call me. Well, Good night.
You're not going to ask me in?
It's rather late.
Oh, now, wait a minute. This is my first trip to San Francisco. My plane doesn't leave until 3 a.m. You wouldn't turn me loose in a strange town at this hour. Besides, Uncle Arthur wouldn't approve of that.
Well, all right, come on in.
Thanks, Miss Rogers. I knew you wouldn't let me down.
I can't afford a studio and an apartment, so this does for both. Like some coffee?
Later, maybe. So, you're a sculptress, huh?
It seems to me I told you all about that at dinner. Trying to make conversation, Mr. Brady?
I'm trying to find out how good a business it is, sculpting. Financially, I mean.
It's a bust, and no puns intended.
You've got quite a collection here. You do all these?
Yes.
Recently?
You're full of questions. No, not recently. Most of them in France. I studied at Fontainebleau.
Oh? When was that?
2 years before the occupation.
Oh, too bad about the French.
July 16th, 1429.
I never was much good at dates.
That's the day Joan of Arc liberated France after 100 years of occupation.
Joan of Arc never ran into a panzer division. No, this time the French are finished.
I'm sorry, but you don't know the French people as I do. The plain people, their good common sense, their stubborn pride, their faith, their deep faith.
That's a very pretty speech. You're pretty, too.
Why, in France, they even...
We're not in France. We're in San Francisco, and I didn't come up to talk politics.
I'm not talking politics. I'm talking about the indestructible...
Your kisses would be pretty, too, Miss Rogers, if you'd cooperate a little.
There's the door, Mr. Brady.
Not yet.
You're getting out of here right now.
I'd rather stay.
I'd hate to have to fracture your skull, and I'd hate even more to smash this figurine, but if you
Uncle
don't...
Arthur's going to be very disappointed in you.
Stop that idiotic Uncle Arthur routine. I haven't spoken to that stingy old goat in 10 years. He'd no more have given you my address than turn up at a board of directors meeting without his clothes. Now, just who are you, Mr. Brady, and what do you want?
You're a bright girl. You're right. Uncle Arthur definitely did not ask me to look you up. You see, it's not Mr. Brady, it's Commander Brady, Office of Strategic Services. Ever hear of us?
No.
Then put down that figurine and relax. You and I are going to do some serious talking. Oh, that kiss. Just a sort of test, Miss Rogers.
Message for you, Colonel Field.
Go ahead, read it.
San Francisco says yes. It's signed, Brady.
Good. Call the laboratory. Tell them Brady will be in for a full report on Thursday.
Yes, Commander, it's already here. Take a look.
That's the kind of clay a sculptor would use, is it?
It's what you ordered, plastic explosive that looks, feels, and tastes like modeling clay.
That's wonderful.
Going into the art business?
Not a bad idea. Wait a minute. Why couldn't we develop a whole line of art store merchandise? More plastic explosive to put up in tubes like tubes of paint. Time pencils as crayons. Reels of fused picture wire.
It could be done.
Now, you're sure of this stuff? You can actually model with this explosive?
Definitely.
Let me use your phone. This is Commander Brady. Get me Colonel Field, please. Now, look, start turning out that clay. We'll need a lot of it. Pack it well. It'll have a long way to go.
And the tubes, the picture wire?
That, too, right away. High priority. You can... Colonel Field? Brady. Applejack can go to London tomorrow. The girl? I'll wire her now. Everything's set. She can join us later over there. Oh, and from now on, we're referring to Miss Rogers as Helene Dupre. Well, gentlemen, now that Helene Dupre is here with us, Team Applejack is complete. As soon as your clothing and documents are in order, you'll be leaving this hotel. You'll be leaving London. You'll be leaving England.
I don't mind saying I'm scared to death.
Don't worry, we all are. Well, you men, any questions?
The young lady, Commander, she's going with us?
Yes?
Why?
We'll come to that later, Martin. What's on your mind? Well?
All right, how do we treat her?
Because I'm a woman?
That's right.
Forget it.
Look, it may get pretty rugged the other side of the channel. Tough to buy a cup of coffee and tough to find a place to sleep.
Let's clear that up right now, Mr. Martin. I'll buy my own coffee and find my own bed.
Yeah, suppose you get picked up.
Some of the most successful agents in history were women.
Yeah, I know. Women like Mata Hari.
How do you know what kind of woman I am?
Well, I think you're the kind that ought to be raising a couple of kids in the Cleveland Heights. There's bound to be a lot of excitement where we're going, and I want to be sure everybody's going to keep calm.
Now, wait a minute, Martin. Helene wouldn't be here in London unless we thought she qualified.
Nothing personal, sir. I'm only concerned about operating successfully.
I think we will. If Mr. Martin stops worrying about my sex. Treat me like any other member of the team.
Right.
Now, you all know where you're going, and you know your objectives. The Corbeil-Malon Tunnel is the jackpot. The first thing to do after landing is to contact FFI headquarters at an inn called Le Cheval Noir. When you've got something to tell us, use your radio. Now, let's go over your cover-up stories. Gates?
My name is Raoul Jassy, a Parisian. I used to be an automobile salesman. When the war came, the office was closed. I've been unemployed most of the time since. My health is bad. Lung trouble. I've come to stay at a farm near the city.
Bad lungs, you said?
I have x-rays to prove it. Here.
Let me see. They're certainly bad, all right, but whose lungs are they?
Mine.
If I were the Gestapo, I'd have you shot. These are American-made x-rays. French x-ray plates are different. Have French ones made. Boucher?
My name is Albert Bernardi. I'm an ice skating instructor. I worked winter resorts all over. Saranac Lake, Sun Valley, San Moritz. I'm looking for a man I heard was going to open a skating rink in Orleans. I can't find him, and I'm short of funds. I'll take any kind of work I can find.
You're a pretty husky young fellow. Why aren't you a prisoner of war or in a labor battalion?
That's right. I forgot to tell you. Here are my papers. I'm not French. I'm Swiss. The war caught me in France, and I haven't been able to get back.
That's better. Martin?
My name is Philippe Martin. I lost my mother when I was 8, went to live with my aunt in the United States. Came back from military service in 1935, trained 18 months, then got a job as correspondent for an American newspaper. Called back up in 39, fought at Sedan, was captured with my division. Later released by the Germans to work for them at the Renault factory. When the factory was bombed out, I was sent to Orleans to work in the railroad yard.
Too glib, Martin. Otherwise, okay. Helene?
My name is Helene Dupre. My home is Orleans, where my family has lived for generations on the Luthier. I'm a sculptress, graduate of Fontainebleau. Every year, my husband and I used to spend our vacations near there. He was a writer. His name was Jean. This year, I've come alone. Jean was killed in the Ardennes.
A writer? I said I was a correspondent, but my articles would have appeared in the United States.
You can find Jean Dupre's work in the back issues of many French magazines.
Oh, then Helen Dupree is real.
She was my roommate at Fontainebleau. We were inseparable. People used to call us the sisters.
What happens if you run into her?
I won't. She's missing. This is her last letter. She says, "Goodbye, my sister. It will be evening soon, and I shall walk down to the beach and out onto the surf. Thinking of you, thinking of Jean. Shall I go on?"
No, I'm sorry.
Well, I suggest you all go to your rooms now and get some sleep. Chances are you'll leave tomorrow night. You will be dropped, of course, by parachute. I'll see you in the morning.
I've just been talking to the pilot. How do you feel, Helene?
Oh, just fine.
No, is that what the pilot wanted to find out?
When do we jump?
We just flew over our destination. There should have been a signal from the ground. Well, there wasn't any.
Hey, that means there'll be no FFI to meet us.
That's right. You want to turn back? I say we should jump blind. Any objections?
No.
No, let's jump.
Good. We'll jump blind then. Oh, our pilot assures me our plane has been spotted by the Nazis.
We expected that, didn't we?
Yes, but that may make things a little tough down below since there's no one to meet us. Still want to jump?
Let's
Yes,
go.
sir.
Okay, I'll tell the pilot to run us in.
I have counterintelligence for you on the telephone here, Colonel.
Oh, thank you. Hello, Master speaking.
There's a lone unidentified plane over your area. Strong formation of British planes was reported earlier. This one may be a straggler or it may be parachutists. I suggest that the area be covered immediately.
Yeah. Geisman,
Ja, Herr Colonel.
possibility of parachutists in this area. Watch that inn, Le Cheval Noir. They have been rendezvousing there. Don't raid it. Only watch it.
Get ready to jump. Good luck, everyone.
See you at the end, Helene. The Cheval Noir.
I'll be there, Mr. Martin.
All right, start jumping.
In just a moment, we'll continue with the second act of O.S.S., starring Alan Ladd and Veronica Lake. Meanwhile, here's Libby Collins, our Hollywood reporter, looking mighty pleased about something, too.
I guess it's the movie I saw this afternoon, Mr. Keeley. You can't beat a good Western. They're such a lot of fun.
Sounds as though you saw that new Republic picture.
That's it, Plainsman and the Lady. A real thriller-diller starring William Elliott, Vera Ralston, and Gail Patrick.
I've seen Bill Elliott in dozens of hard-riding films, Libby. But I always thought of Vera Ralston as an ice skating star.
Oh, she is, and was once Olympic skating champion. But in Plainsman and the Lady, she again proves herself a fine dramatic actress. Vera's had quite an exciting career, you know. She escaped from her native Czechoslovakia on the very last plane before the borders were closed.
That was exciting.
Mm-hmm. But the real thrill of a lifetime, she says, was getting her American citizenship papers last Flag Day.
Well, this country has gained a stunning new citizen. Vera's a real beauty.
Oh, she is that, Mr. Keeley. She's one of the most photographed girls at Republic. And the studio says she just can't take a poor picture.
I don't wonder, Libby. How could anyone miss with a complexion like Vera Ralston's?
Mr. Kennedy, you're certainly a man with a single-track mind.
When it comes to lovely Lux complexions, I admit it.
Well, you're quite right about Vera Ralston's. She uses Lux toilet soap every day. She told me active lather facials with Lux toilet soap are a wonderful aid to beauty. They leave your skin feeling fresh and smooth.
Libby, won't you tell the ladies in our audience how Vera Ralston takes her Lux soap facial?
Well, here's what she does, and it's very simple and quickly done. Smooths on lots of the creamy Lux soap lather and works it in thoroughly. Rinses, first with warm water, followed with a splash of cold. Then she takes a soft towel and pats her skin ever so gently to dry. And that's all there is to a Lux soap beauty facial. And, Mr. Kennedy, screen stars find it a wonderfully effective care.
You're absolutely right, Libby. We know from actual tests that Lux toilet soap facials make skin lovelier. These tests were made by skin specialists, and they showed improvement in a short time in 3 out of 4 cases.
Hollywood stars just have to have a complexion care that works.
And that's why Lux toilet soap is the favorite beauty soap of 9 out of 10 screen stars, the loveliest women in the world. Mr. Keeley returns to the microphone.
We continue with Act 2 of O.S.S., starring Alan Ladd as Martin and Veronica Lake as Ellen. Nearly 3 days have passed since Team Applejack parachuted into a patch of woods near the French city of Orleans. Now in London, where he's been joined by Colonel Field, Commander Brady has received his first radio message from the saboteurs.
The message has just been decoded, Colonel. Well, not too good. Gates is dead.
Gates?
The night they landed, he and the girl went to the inn first. Something must have gone wrong. The others found his body in the morning.
And the girl?
Not suspected. I've ordered Martin to take over. They're proceeding as scheduled.
Well?
Martin's got a job in the railroad yard. Boucher's become a scissors grinder. He's rented some sort of a hovel to live in. He'll radio us from there as long as he can.
Helene?
She's made contact with the underground. An old man named O.S.S. has a shop that sells art supplies. She's found a studio close by.
Then things should start happening.
They will, sir. They will.
Scissors sharpen. Knives and scissors sharpen. Knives and scissors sharpen.
Can you sharpen sculpting tools?
Anything, madame. Scissors sharpen. Knives and scissors sharpen.
How much?
I have not sharpened chisels like these in a long time.
I met Martin an hour ago.
Oh, I can do them all right.
Where?
Newspaper stand, near the railroad yard. Well, how much?
10 francs each, madame.
10 francs? 20-car train, 6 a.m. tomorrow. That's ridiculous.
Oh, man must live.
But where?
Le Mans. All right, here.
Thank you, madame. I will sharpen them like new.
10 francs each. Outrageous.
Hello? Yes, this is Colonel Field. What time? Confirmed? Fine. Yes, Brady's with me now. Hope to have another job for you very soon. That was British Air Intelligence, Brady. Well, Applejack's in business. The bombers got the train at Le Mans this morning. Completely destroyed. Any other news from Martin?
A little. Helene's rounded up some FFI. They're all meeting tomorrow afternoon in O.S.S. art shop.
Come in, madame, monsieur.
These 2 men are my friends, Papa. Monsieur Martin, Monsieur Boucher.
Your people here, Aubert?
They are here.
How many?
Reynald Lefebvre and Madame Riot. They are in back of the shop.
The military patrol saw us come in. We're apt to have visitors. If we do, just remember we're here to listen to Madame Dupree's lecture on art.
My friends know, monsieur. Come, this way.
There are some important targets the Air Force can't seem to get at, especially the Corbeil-Malon tunnel. What about it, Reynaud?
That's the closed military area. Every approach is guarded. We tried again last week.
We've got to keep trying. It's a must. What about the bridge at Rostan?
That's Lefebvre's group.
Who takes the Chambon repair shops?
I will.
Fine. We have the explosives here for you.
I have already made yours up, Monsieur Reynal. Little sacks marked modeling clay, plastic explosives. Madame Riot, you will get tubes of paint. They will be ready for...
Who's that? The patrol?
Wait a moment. I have to open the door. It's Colonel Meister.
You'll continue with your art lecture, Madame Dupree.
As I was saying, the so-called new trend in art is actually a very old one. We know to return to the classic form, but with a certain utilization of
Colonel Meister.
Good afternoon.
Must be the creation of a
I am
school
fortunate to
devoted
find you
the
here.
A little Sunday afternoon discussion, Colonel. If I can be of any assistance...
I'm quite sure you can help me. But first, if you don't mind, I would like to listen to the young lady.
We are honored,
Must
Colonel.
avoid the decadent spiritual attitude of a man like Modigliani. The degenerate impressionism
Of Cézanne?
Of course. If I may digress, the Colonel has brought up a most interesting
Close
point.
the door, Robert. No need to
Those of
disturb
you
the
who study
discussion.
Cézanne readily understand the absence.
Well, Robert, what do I see under the counter? New tubes of paint, huh?
Yes, Colonel.
Ah, let me see. Cerulean, my favorite blue. What about the other color?
I'm sorry, but
No, I won't bother. I have no time for painting. Sketching is all I can do these days. Robert, that young woman in there.
An unusually gifted sculptress.
Oh, may I meet her?
But of course. Madame Dupré, if you have a moment, please.
Excuse me. Yes, monsieur.
Madame Dupré, may I present...
Meister, Madame, Paul Meister.
The Colonel's sketches.
Merely impressions. Oh, Robert, I need another pad.
I am sure I have one somewhere.
Madame must permit me to see her work.
But there's nothing of mine here, Colonel.
At your studios, then? I have my car.
Really, I haven't a thing worth seeing at the moment.
Madame's modesty becomes her. I shall make the usual allowances.
Well, very well, then.
My apologies to your friends, Aubert, but I will pick up my pad later. Ah, very nice studio, Madame. Excellent light. Your husband shares it with you?
I'm a widow, Colonel, but, well, I have been going with another man.
I'm sorry. A Frenchman in the city here?
He's away. He's an engineer.
Oh, the Normandy fortifications?
He never tells me, Colonel.
This statue here is lovely. It's like yourself.
You're very kind.
Amazing technique for one so young. Your hand, Madame. Remarkably feminine for this kind of work.
If the Colonel would care for some tea,
And your
perhaps...
pulse. It's quite irregular. Could I be responsible for that?
You're very discerning.
So? And you are an incredible woman, my dear. Beauty and talent are rarely combined in a single individual. I confess I find it difficult to believe that these works of art here are yours, or that you are what you say you are.
May I prove it?
How?
Sit down. I'd like you to pose for me.
Oh? that may take several sittings.
Several.
I'm delighted, Madame, delighted.
Perhaps when it's finished, you'll believe me.
Perhaps.
Your head. A little more to the side, please. That's it.
Meister's been coming here to your studio every day now for 2 weeks, and what have we got? Nothing except a pretty fair likeness of his head.
I need more time, Martin.
Bertie's raising the roof. He wants that Corbeil-Melon tunnel destroyed now. As soon as it is, we go back to London. And believe me, I'm ready to go back.
I'm not.
Why, you're up a blind alley with Meister. He hasn't told you a thing. Break it off with him.
Meister's my department.
Don't overestimate yourself. He's dangerous.
You don't have much confidence in me, do you?
I'd feel the same about any girl I was working with.
I thought we'd settled that. No special consideration for anyone. You're not a man and I'm not a woman. We're weapons. But you could stop worrying about Meister. He's leaving town.
Yeah, where's he going?
I don't know.
When?
Tomorrow afternoon.
It's a troop train leaving for Normandy tomorrow afternoon. It'll pass through the tunnel. Oh, Helene, how long would it take you to duplicate this head you've made? Exact duplicate made out of our plastic explosive clay.
Tomorrow noon.
Could you get Meister I'll forget it.
I could get him to take me with him on the train.
I said forget it.
Helene, it's Paul.
Meister.
Just a minute.
Let him in. I'll wait in the kitchen.
Well, I had to come early, my dear. Staff meeting. I should be there now.
Then you won't sit for me.
I came only to say goodbye. Will you miss me, Helene?
Paul, take me with you.
Oh, I'm afraid it's impossible.
Not for an officer of your importance.
Oh, I suppose it could be arranged, but...
Please, Paul. Please.
Helene, darling, you are not deceiving me. I know why you want to come with me. I have known how matters stood since the day I met you.
Have you?
Your engineer. You are trying to get to him in Normandy.
You're too clever for me, Paul.
And you are too unscrupulous for me, Helene. All right. You may come with me.
Thank you, Paul.
After all, our little masterpiece is still incomplete. Bring it with you. Pleasant journey together, a weekend perhaps to finish it, and then, my dear girl, go with my blessing. Is that satisfactory?
Oh, yes.
Good. Be ready to leave early in the afternoon. My driver will take you to our compartment on the train. Auf Wiedersehen, Helene.
I heard what he said. All right, get to work on the duplicate right away.
Explosive clay will require a fuse, and I don't know how to set one.
Obed will bring a fuse here. He'll set it. How will you pack it for travel?
A wooden box, I suppose.
Just make sure you'll be able to open it quickly. Light the fuse when the train stops in the tunnel.
You're sure it will stop?
I'll see that it does. Reynald can get me a railroad inspector's pass. The train takes on water a few miles east of the tunnel. I'll get on then. As for getting off, we'll both have to take our chances.
Of course. Good luck, Martin.
Yeah, thanks, sir. Maybe I'll see you tomorrow at the tunnel.
What?
Never mind. Get to work. You're the engineer?
Yes. What are you doing here?
Just came aboard. Inspector Martin, check ride.
Inspection. What do you expect of this piece of junk?
Never mind that, you're late. Should have passed the Corbeil-Malon tunnel at 3:26.
We'll pass it in 5 minutes.
All right, then slow down.
He's got a gun, huh?
I said slow down.
Why are you doing this, monsieur?
For France. Now jump, both of you.
Paul, the train stopped. What's the matter?
Oh, it's nothing.
It seems very strange stopping in a tunnel.
It makes our journey together longer.
Paul, I'm worried. Please go and ask someone.
No, later.
But I'm really frightened. Please, Paul.
All right. Corporal, where are you? I had the train. Stop.
Martin,
Don't ask questions. Hand me that box.
the fuse is lit.
Good, I'll set it by the track.
Here.
Be right back. Climb out of the window.
Hey, open the door. What's the matter?
Climb out, do you hear? You've still got a chance.
Who is that talking? Hello?
Hurry.
Corporal, break this door down. She is gone. The window.
A man and woman, Herr Colonel. There, the mouth of the tunnel.
You, guard! Stop those people! Fire!
Set bombs. There's a fuse burning.
Stop those people! Stop them!
Come in, Brady. Well?
The report's confirmed by aerial reconnaissance, Colonel. The tunnel's destroyed.
That's great.
Yes. Except there's been no word since from Team Applejack.
I know. Get a message through to Team Sombrero. Tell them to stand by to take over Applejack's assignments. Martin, Boucher, the girl, they're either dead, Brady, or captured.
Elaine.
Here. This way.
I should have been back long ago. Sorry, I got lost. It's pretty dark in those woods at night.
It's the only reason we're alive. Night and a place to hide.
I found Boucher. He couldn't get a car. Meister's alive, and he closed in too fast.
We can't stay here.
I know. I sent Boucher on to Dijon. If you can get to a radio, you'll contact Brady and have him send a plane in to pick us up. When, where, I don't know. We'll meet Boucher at the park in Dijon tomorrow.
How will we get there?
The highway's full of refugees. We'll have to lose ourselves among them.
Safer if we travel alone.
No, you're in pretty bad shape.
I'll manage.
Oh, now look.
You look. We almost failed in the tunnel because you came back for me. Never come back for me again. Do you understand? Never come back.
Okay. Can you find the highway?
Yes.
We'll park in Dijon tomorrow.
It's all right. You can sit down.
Hello.
Hello. Where's Boucher?
We've had some luck. He found some FFI. They're getting us jobs at the airport.
Did he find a radio?
No, not yet. We've got to be careful. Meister's boys will be beating down our necks.
Do you have any money? I haven't eaten since yesterday.
A little. We'll find a restaurant.
Those men.
What?
Don't look. 2 of them. They're watching us. Start smiling. That's better.
I'm going to kiss you. Sweethearts, a park bench. That may convince them.
Too bad, Martin. They're still watching.
Come on, we better go. Oh, some more luck. A booth near the door.
Just get me something to
Sit
eat.
tight. Company's coming. One of those men in the park.
Well, good evening. May I join you? Thank you.
I'm sorry, but there must be some mistake.
Mistake, Monsieur Martin and Madame Dupré?
You're quite wrong, monsieur.
I think not. I am Amadeus Brink, Gestapo. Oh, in case you are armed, monsieur, don't forget my colleague, Herr Ansvold, here is close by. That was fine work, that tunnel job of yours.
What are you talking about?
These papers, monsieur. A full report of your activities. They just arrived in headquarters. Would you care to read them?
This is outrageous. You intrude upon us.
Madame would prefer to discuss the matter at headquarters?
What do you mean, prefer?
Fortunately, I had access to these papers before any of the others saw them.
Well, what do you want from us?
What I want from you isn't the question. What do you want from me?
No, very sensible man, Herr Brink. His side is going to lose the war, and being a practical man, he looks to the future.
I could be very useful to you. I have access, for instance, to the weekly Dijon-Berlin military pouch, and the courier's my cousin.
And what's your price? Immunity?
That goes without saying. A small weekly payment and 50,000 American dollars deposited in my account in the Bank of Switzerland.
Maybe we can do business.
I was so sure we could.
You'll have to get us a radio.
Oddly enough, I have another cousin who might be persuaded to lend you one for 20,000 francs.
We'll be short of funds until we contact our principals.
Until then, only too glad to accommodate you. At a fair rate of interest, of course. Shall we say 15%? Well, I will leave you to think things over. Till tomorrow, then, at the same time, here. Oh, Herr Ansvold, just refugees. A couple madly in love with each other.
You believe him?
There's no choice. I have to.
And we were going back to London.
Brink is on the level. We don't dare leave. If he isn't, we'll get what Gates got. Oh, Elaine, I'm sorry.
For what?
Oh, the way I snap at you most of the time, the way I...
Aren't you forgetting something?
Yeah. Sure I am. Treat you like any other member of the team. That's what you want, isn't it?
Yes, Martin. That's what I want. Someday, maybe, if we ever...
Skip it. Here's the menu. It may be our last meal.
We pause now for station identification. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
In a moment, we'll bring you Act 3 of O.S.S., starring Alan Ladd and Veronica Lake. In Hollywood, it's news when an actress gets a studio contract without having to take a screen test. It happened, though, to our lovely young guest of the evening, Miss Lucille Barclay. How does it feel to be a Paramount starlet, Lucille?
I still can't believe it, Mr. Keeley. You see, I'd come to Hollywood for a summer vacation. The vacation turned into a full-time job when a talent scout for Paramount saw me and signed me up.
Had you always been interested in an acting career?
Oh, yes. Back in New York State, where I lived, I was a member of the Rochester Community Theater. Later, I studied dramatics in New York.
And all to good purpose, it appears.
Oh, I was very lucky. But for real achievement, Mr. Keeley, I nominate Joan Caulfield. I visited the set when Paramount was filming their big Technicolor production, Blue Skies, and, well, I had a chance to meet her. Just think. In Blue Skies, she's co-starred with Bing Crosby and Fred Astaire.
You're right. That is a success story. Joan deserves it, though. She's exceptionally talented.
And besides, she's about as photogenic as a girl can be. Lovely features and a truly flawless complexion.
Well, Lucille, we're proud of the fact that Joan Caulfield is a Lux girl.
So she told me, Mr. Keeley, and I wasn't a bit surprised. I've used Lux toilet soap myself a long time, and I think it's tops.
Many famous stars agree with you there, Miss Barkley.
And if I may say so, Mr. Kennedy, lots of ambitious young starlets. Every girl in pictures knows how important it is to have a nice, smooth skin for camera close-ups.
Thank you, Miss Barkley. We're glad that so many charming women everywhere depend on daily Lux soap care. It's a fact that active lather facials in a short time give skin fresh new beauty. Now, here's a suggestion to the ladies in our audience. If you haven't tried Lux toilet soap as yet, why not see what this gentle care can do for your own precious complexion? Remember, Lux toilet soap is Hollywood's own beauty soap. Here's Mr. Keeley at the microphone.
Act 3 of O.S.S., starring Alan Ladd as Martin and Veronica Lake as Ellen. For a month now, O.S.S. headquarters in London has been receiving amazing information from Team Applejack, and Allied bombers subsequently have been smashing Nazi installations with bewildering accuracy. Back again in London, Colonel Field gets the details from Commander Brady.
It's really quite simple, Colonel. Our key man, of course, is Brink. And we're sure of Brink as long as we continue to pay off.
But getting the contents of their military
Boucher
pouches...
has a job in the washroom at the airport. He cleans hats, shines shoes. Anyway, the courier with the pouch visits Boucher every time he takes the plane for Berlin. Boucher disappears for a few minutes. He's got a camera in the laundry closet, photographs the documents on microfilm, returns them to the courier. Radio's here when he's ready for our plane to pick up the film.
And how do we get a plane to Dijon?
Mr. Brink again. Another of his cousins owns a farm outside of town. We run a plane in at night.
Too good to last.
Yes, sir. I've told Applejack they can come back to London whenever they're ready. We'll be contacting them shortly, Colonel. Any message?
Yes, my congratulations. Also, my urgent suggestion that they leave Dijon. They've done their job.
Shoe shine, sir? Brush your hat, sir?
The courier. He was here, Boucher.
This morning, Herr Brink.
Good. Tell Martin our Gestapo spotters are closing in on your radio. One more message and they'll trace it to your rooming house. Suspend operations until I find another place. Oh, you might shine my shoes, if you please.
The film, Boucher.
Here. One of the documents I photographed is red hot. The Krauts have busted a top American code, Martin.
Broken
It's
code.
all on a film.
A broken code. Brady's got to know about that quick. How soon can you get to your radio?
Any time now, but...
Tell Brady what we've got. Tell him to get a plane in here tonight, a big one to take us out with that film. We're through. We've had enough.
The radio. If I try to use the radio...
Yeah, what about it?
Nothing. Where will you be? And Helene?
Meeting Brink in the park. It's payday. After that, we'll go out to the farm. Come out as soon as you can. We'll be in London tonight.
Tonight? Yeah. Oh, if you see Helene, say hello for me, will you? Details of Nazis breaking code on film. Send plane tonight. Pick up Martine and Dupre. Looks like I'll be staying. Couple of men in hallway now. Someone at Skylight, too. If you can contact my mother, please tell her
You're late, Brink. How long do you think we can hang around the public park?
It was
waiting for...
unavoidable. Oh, good evening, madame. My money, monsieur.
Here.
Oh, thank you. You're on your way somewhere?
Why?
Because it is best if you are. They picked up your radio.
Boucher.
He is dead. Oh, I warned him.
Dead?
He didn't tell me you warned him. Did he get through to London?
I think so. He was on the air when it happened. We have a new chief here. He has been inquiring about you. Colonel Meister.
Meister? Here?
Yes, definitely. It would be necessary for me to put your record and description back in the file. Wherever it is you are going, if you would care to rent a car...
All right, where is it?
That one across the street. Shall we say 10,000 francs?
I'll give you 8.
I am a reasonable man. 8,000. Good night. Good night.
Herr Brink.
Herr Answald.
Isn't that your car I just saw? Who was driving it?
My car?
Yes, the man and girl. They looked strangely like the couple Colonel Meister just described to me.
What couple?
The colonel is very anxious to see you, Herr Brink, my trusted colleague.
I don't suppose we could talk in purely business terms, Herr Answald. Shall we say 100,000 francs? No, I suppose not.
Come along.
Pity. I was always such a reasonable man.
Look at it come across the field. I never thought an aeroplane could be so beautiful.
Oh, London will be there in 2 hours, honey.
Boucher didn't die for nothing. He got the message through or the plane wouldn't be here.
The door's opening. Come on.
Martin, Elaine.
Commander Brady.
Hey, what are you doing here?
Are we glad to see you?
I wish I was good at making congratulatory speeches.
Oh, skip it. Let's get out of here.
Here's your film.
Great work. Where's Boucher?
We lost him.
When?
Early tonight.
But what happened?
I'll tell you on the plane, huh?
Martin, I'm here because I have something to ask you.
We're only half a jump ahead of the Gestapo. Can't we talk about it later?
I'm afraid not. The Nazis are licked, Martin. They're falling back to the Rhine.
Well, that's fine. That's fine. But what's it got to do with me?
I'd like you to do one more job.
Another job?
Some time ago, we put a man into Germany posing as a barge worker on the Rhine. The sector he was assigned to has been selected for one of our crossings. If he's still alive, he'll have invaluable information on troop dispositions and fortifications.
I don't get it.
There's no way for him to get the information to us. We need somebody to go in there and contact him and send it out on a ground-air radio. I brought one with me.
And how long do you think we can live like this, with our stomachs turning over every time a foot falls or a door opens? You've got plenty of other people working for you. Why do you have to pick on me?
Because you're the only available agent who'd recognize our man, the only agent he would recognize. You remember Parker?
Yeah, sure, I remember Parker. So what? I'm no hero. I don't want to volunteer for anything. I want my identity back.
Don't you suppose Parker wants his identity back?
If you want me to take that assignment, you've got to order me to take it.
Then it's an order.
Okay. What was that I said, Elaine? London in 2 hours? Will you be there when I get back?
When we go together.
You're going now with the commander.
That's up to him, isn't it?
Mice is catching up with us. How much longer do you think our luck can hold out? Gates, Boucher, we're next. Go on back to England. I'll handle this deal alone.
We've worked well together. 2 agents are better than one. It doubled your chances.
She's right, Martin. As long as she's offered to stay, that's it.
You'd better get that plane out of here.
You're to make your way to Strasbourg. Here, instructions and directions. Burn them when memorized. You'll meet up with the Madame Prideaux. She has a place in the country, she and her grandchild. You'll work from there. Good luck, Helene. Good luck, Martin.
Good luck? What does that mean, sir?
News from Martin, Colonel Field. They're at the Prideaux farm.
Any word about Parker?
Nothing yet, sir.
How is Martin getting to us?
Ground air radio. We send a plane over his area. Martin talks to the pilot. They've had contact every day now for about a week.
Just don't ease up on him. He's got to locate Parker.
More bombers, Madame Prideaux. But there are bombers. Don't be frightened, Giraud.
I'm not frightened, mademoiselle.
In the village this morning. German soldiers all over, stealing everything.
They may come here. They're retreating.
They may. But these potatoes they will not find. And we will have these potatoes planted before the spring is out.
Who's to plant potatoes, Grand-mère?
Our men will come back, Giraud. Always the men come back home.
Monsieur Martin is going to the orchard again. He's talking to the American airplane.
I'd feel better if he didn't have to go so far from the house.
Maybe he can talk to our men, too. Maybe he can tell them when it's safe to come home.
Listen, there's a truck on the road.
Germans. Giraud, The potatoes. Hide them in the cellar.
I can see them. They're turning in here.
Monsieur Martin!
He will see the truck.
You can trust the boy and me, Helene. We are accustomed by now to receiving a Boche. They will learn nothing.
Can you hear me up there? Can you hear me?
Slower, pal. More distinctly. We're recording this, you know.
I said the Nazis are pouring across the Rhine. Bridges, boats, barges, anything that'll float.
What about Parker?
No sign of him. We're down to the docks every day. Most of the barge ran out when our plane started strafing. If Parker stayed on, we might have shot him up ourselves.
Wait a minute. You expecting a truck?
Huh? What are you talking about?
Your house. A truck just pulled up. Troops. You better duck, Martin. You got a gun?
Yes, but...
Take care of yourself. We'll be back at 100.
Stand back against the wall. All of you.
Martin, behind you. Look out.
Leave him to me. Another. And another. Throw the Schwein in the barn. So, there were no men here, mademoiselle. Hey, you look frightened. Do soldiers frighten you? Well, then we will leave these soldiers. Schweigler.
Jawohl, Herr Lieutenant.
Mademoiselle and I will be in the other room. We will not wish to be disturbed.
Sorry if I gave you a scare. You're Helene Dupre, aren't you?
How did you...
No time for questions. I'm Parker. Martin recognized me. That's why I didn't shoot. I heard him, but I had to. I've seen you both down at the docks, but I never was able to get to you. That's why I got this uniform filling with those drunks inside. I've got to talk fast, so listen carefully. The Krauts are heading for the East Bank. I have their troop dispositions down cold. Can you get them out?
Martin has an air-ground radio. He keeps it buried in the orchard.
Good. I'll get rid of these troops inside, but I'll have to go with them. So it's up to you and Martin to get this information through.
Go ahead.
All right. It's about 5 miles between Flettisburg and Trubin with nothing but a few patrols between. That's just one of the weak spots. There's another just north of Lacen. If our troops cross at these spots, we'll save thousands of lives. Now repeat after me. The 146th Panzer Division in reserve near Broheim.
The 146th Panzer Division in reserve near Broheim.
The 122nd Grenadiers just west of Linstein.
The 122nd Grenadiers just west of Linstein.
The 8th Infantry Division due south.
About 10 minutes ago. Parker had to go with them. Martin, are you up to talking?
I'm okay. What did Parker tell you?
I'll write it all down for you. If it gets through on time, thousands of lives can be saved and our job should be over. When will the plane be here?
1 o'clock. What time is it now?
12:30. Think you can do it?
Yeah. Go ahead. Start writing.
Madame, Girard.
Yes, mademoiselle.
Get some water. I wish I could do more for you. Your head, it's still bleeding.
Don't worry about me. Just put it down on paper.
Here. This is it, Martin. Everything written down.
I'll come back as soon as I've contacted the planes.
You will be leaving us then?
Yes.
Where you go, you will be together.
We'll be together. We'll be together from now on.
Open up here. Open up.
Grand-mère. Who? Can you see?
Oh, bosh, Two soldiers and an officer.
Open
Quick
up,
now.
I say.
Hide in the kitchen. If they make trouble, Mademoiselle says to find Monsieur Martin. Warn him. She's going to the door now, so hurry.
I listen, Grand-mère.
Open this door.
I'll warn him if need be.
Yes?
Sorry to intrude at this hour. Helene. Well, we never had our little weekend in Normandy, did we? That's a great pity. You have nothing to say? Sure you remember me, Meister, Paul Meister?
I remember you very well.
You are alone here?
I am here, monsieur.
I refer to Martin.
Then I am quite alone.
Unfortunately, we can't spend too much time finding out if you are telling the truth. Sergeant, take the old woman to the car.
And the girl, Herr Colonel?
Wait outside. I will deal with her.
Madame, come.
Helene Dupre. I still find you a remarkably attractive woman. I can almost forgive myself. Myself, not you, my dear.
Then let's get this over with. All I ask is that I be taken quickly to wherever people like myself are dealt with.
Not yet. I find this reunion curiously satisfying. At last, Helene. At last.
Monsieur Martin! Monsieur!
Gerard, what's the matter?
The woman, monsieur, they're taking them away. I heard him.
Who?
He said his name was Maestro. Oh, don't let them take them, monsieur, please.
Who was with him?
Only 2 others, soldiers, but hurry. She knows I went for you. Please come, please.
The plane up there. I've got to contact
You
it.
could do it later.
Never come back for me again. Thousands of lives will be saved. Never come back. Thousands of lives.
I can't, boy, I can't.
Never thought you would be afraid. Never.
Gerard, listen.
Are you down there, Applejack?
Yeah, I'm here.
Anything wrong?
No, nothing.
And shoot. Recorder's on.
146th Panzer Division Reserve near Brunheim. 122nd Grenadiers just west of Liechtenstein.
Slow down.
The 8th Infantry Division south of Robert Canal.
You're losing range, Martin. And slower.
Robert Canal! R-O-B-U-R-G.
That's better. What's your rush?
31st Engineers at Lindgren. 31st at Lindgren. The 18th SS Division around Horstensteinbruck.
Oh, let's have that last again. I want a clean recording.
Please, I've got to get back.
With news like this, so do we, pal. Repeat.
The 18th SS Division around Horstensteinbruck. The 52nd Infantry east of Freihof north of the highway.
Just once more and we'll have it.
18th Division around Horstensteinbruck. 52nd Infantry east of Freihof north of the highway. That's it, and tell them Parker's okay as of a few hours ago.
Swell going, Martin. Sorry to leave you, but I gotta get this back to headquarters.
Helene!
They're gone, monsieur. They're too late. They're gone.
Helene.
Look at them come, Martin. Trucks and jeeps, planes and tanks. Soldiers. Our soldiers, Martin. Crossing the Rhine.
Yes, sir.
Job's almost finished. Thanks, Martin.
Don't thank me. Thank them, the ones who didn't live to see this. Gates, Boucher, Helene. Tell me about her, Commander. I didn't even know her real name.
Rogers. Ellen Rogers.
Ellen. Where was she born?
I don't recall, but I can find out for you if you'd like.
No, it doesn't matter. It was somewhere back home. Like the town I came from. The same town, maybe. Yeah, she might even have lived just around the corner.
Well-deserved applause for an exciting performance by our 2 stars, Alan Ladd and Veronica Lake. And here they are, back at the footlights for the curtain call.
Well, one of the real stars of tonight's play, Bill, was William Donovan, whom you've mentioned in your introduction.
Yes, he was head of the O.S.S. in real life.
Didn't you make a picture on the career of General Donovan, Mr. Keeley?
That's right, Veronica. The Fighting 69th, which, of course, was late in World War I.
And made a great movie, incidentally.
Speaking of pictures, Alan, I understand that since yours were released in continental Europe, you've become the #1 box office hit over there.
And to think they had to wait 6 years before seeing Ellen on the screen.
Not to mention you, too, Veronica.
That's right, Alan. You two have been together in so many pictures. I sort of missed Veronica in your latest Paramount production, 2 years before The Mask.
Yeah, I missed her, too, Bill, but we're going back together again when we start shooting Saigon out of your old Paramount.
Well, that's good news for Ladd and Lake fans. By the way, Veronica, what happened to that famous over-the-eye hairdo?
Well, I thought it was about time to see how the other half of the world lived, Mr. Keeley.
Hey, how long did you wear your hair like that, Veronica?
How long? Oh, about 24 inches.
Well, confidentially, Veronica, I like your present hairdo even better. For one very important reason.
What's that, Mr. Keeley?
It doesn't hide any of that lovely Lux complexion.
Well, it's certainly not hard to help keep your complexion lovely with Lux Toilet Soap Care. I always use it.
And it's plain to see that loyalty is well rewarded.
Say, what are you presenting here next Monday night, Bill?
Next week, we're proud to bring our audience for a second time this season 2 of Hollywood's top artists. and one of the most famous acting teams in motion picture history, Greer Garson and Walter Pidgeon. They appear in their original screen roles in Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer's epic drama, Mrs. Parkington, the story of a man who ruled a dynasty with daring and ruthlessness, and a woman who ruled a man with love alone.
A great cast, a great play, Bill. Congratulations.
And good night.
Good night, and thanks to both of you. Lever Brothers Company, the makers of Lux Toilet Soap, join me in inviting you to be with us again next Monday evening when the Lux Radio Theater presents Greer Garson and Walter Pidgeon in Mrs. Parkington. This is William Keighley saying good night to you from Hollywood.
The main cause of the current soap shortage is the worldwide scarcity of fats and oils. Industrial fats are needed also in the manufacture of many other essential household goods. So please continue to save used kitchen fats. Your butcher will pay you for every pound you turn in. Secretary of Agriculture Clinton P. Anderson says it is urgently important that American women keep on saving and turning in used fats, taking advantage of larger meat supplies to step up their fat salvage. Heard in our cast tonight were Gail Gordon as Brady, Joseph Kearns as Meister, and Richard Benedict as Boucher. Charles Seal, Norman Field, Jay Novello, Ralph Sedan, Noreen Gamil, Ed Emerson, George Neese, Howard Jeffrey, Henry Rowland, George Sorrell, Truda Marson, and Robert Conte. Our music was directed by Louis Silvers. This program is broadcast to our men and women overseas through cooperation with the Armed Forces Radio Service. And this is your announcer, John Milton Kennedy, reminding you to tune in again next Monday night to hear Mrs. Parkington with Greer Garson and Walter Pidgeon.
Rely on Spry, S-P-R-Y.
Yes, it's Spry for lighter, finer, richer flavored cakes every time.
Make that next cake with pure, all-vegetable Spry, the shortening with the magic cake-making secret. Hear him say,
Wonderful.
the reason why, S-P-R-Y.
For all you bake and fry, rely on Spry.
Be sure to listen in next Monday night to the Lux Radio Theater presentation of Mrs. Parkington with Greer Garson and Walter Pidgeon. And why not tune in a half hour early to hear Joan Davis over most of these stations? This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Lux presents Hollywood. Lever Brothers Company, makers of Lux Flakes, brings you the Lux Radio Theater, starring Pat O'Brien and Lynn Bari in Crack Up. Ladies and gentlemen, your producer, Mr. William Keighley.
Greetings from Hollywood, ladies and gentlemen. As we approach another year, we naturally think in terms of something new and different. And tonight we bring you a special favorite of the screen, Pat O'Brien, in a new and thrilling drama, and for Pat, a very different sort of role. In RKO's psychological mystery, Crack Up, he appears as a man whose temporary mental blindness threatens his entire life, turns trust into suspicion, love to doubt. Co-starred with Pat is the talented and beautiful Lynn Bari, who adds a note of romance to this rapid-fire story of murder and conspiracy. Before our curtain rises, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the motion picture studios and the many stars who have provided us with such fine entertainment during 1946. For their cooperation, we extend our heartiest thanks and our sincere good wishes for a happy and successful new year. And I'm sure that if Lux Flakes could speak for themselves, they'd also take this opportunity to wish you all a very happy 1947. Certainly, they'll help to make it happy, as they always have, by lessening your labors and lengthening the life of your nice things. In fact, for those nice things, I'd say Lux Flakes and Happy New Year mean about the same thing. Once again, our curtain rises as we present Act One of Crack Up, starring Pat O'Brien as George Steele and Lynn Bari as Terry Cordell, with Lester Matthews as Traben. It's 11 o'clock at night, and in New York's police headquarters, Lieutenant Detective Cochran is on the telephone.
Wait a minute, Johnson. Say that over again.
Yes, sir. About 20 minutes ago, see? I was just turning the corner at the Manhattan Museum when I see this guy smash the front door and break in.
Go on.
I go after him, see? He puts up quite a battle, and right in the middle of it, he passes out.
Drunk?
But good. His name is George Steele, and he's on the staff of the museum. Gives art lectures or something.
Who's there with you? I can hear voices.
Some of the big shots from the museum. They were having a meeting upstairs when all this happened. I figured I'd better call you, Lieutenant.
Okay, Johnson. I'll be right over. Just a second, if you don't mind. How's the patient doing, Johnson?
He still keeps mumbling about a train wreck, Lieutenant.
Now, let me get this much straight anyway. Mr. Barton, you're the director of the museum?
I am, sir.
And you're Lowell, and you're Stevenson?
That's right, Lieutenant, except it's Dr. Lowell.
MD?
Yes. Dr. Lowell, Mr. Stevenson, and I were attending a board meeting upstairs. The other trustees left some time ago. We three were still there when this unfortunate incident occurred.
You work here, Mr. Stevenson?
He's our curator.
I see, like Mr. Steele?
Mr. Steele's an assistant. He's been lecturing here.
I'd suggest that Mr. Steele change his brand of whiskey.
I examined Mr. Steele before you arrived. He's more than drunk. He's really ill.
There's no denying the odor of alcohol, but I know he doesn't do that kind of drinking. He keeps talking about a train wreck. What could he possibly mean?
I'll be able to answer that when headquarters calls me back.
I trust nothing of this will get to the newspapers, Lieutenant. It would be most embarrassing. A member of our own staff. Surely you can understand.
I'll take it. Hello? Yeah? You're sure now? Did you check every railroad line? Okay, thanks.
Come in.
Frank,
Oh, hello, Terry.
where's George? What's happened?
He'll be all right, Terry. He's lying there on the couch.
George! Oh, darling.
Good evening, gentlemen. What is this? Open house? Who's the girl? Who's this man?
The young lady is Terry Cordell. She's a magazine writer, a friend of Mr. Steele's. I phoned her to come. And this lieutenant is Mr. Traben of the English Museum.
I was having dinner with Miss Cordell when she got word. Will I be in the way?
Talking again, Lieutenant.
What are you trying to say, dear? What do you mean? Were there many killed?
The train wreck. It plowed right into us, Terry. That other train.
George, this is Lieutenant Cochran of the police department.
Police? What do they want?
Some answers, Steele, like, where have you been tonight?
Was he kidding?
What did happen, George?
I was in a train wreck. That's all I know until I woke up here.
And where was the train wreck? Where were you going?
North. Same direction the train was going. I was half an hour out of Grand Central with the rest of the passengers. Is there something unusual about that?
The only thing unusual is there wasn't any wreck. That phone call I just received, they've checked every railroad. There wasn't any wreck.
You're out of your mind. I was in a wreck. What are you driving at? What am I supposed to have done?
Among other things, you kicked in the front door here and you struck the police officer who tried to stop you. But let's get back to the wreck. That didn't happen.
Haven't we had enough cross-examination? Can't
Now
you see
it
that
won't
he's...
help any of us to get excited.
You mind if I speak to him?
Go ahead, Doctor.
Steele, try to remember everything you did today before you took the train.
Please, George.
Okay. I was here in the museum all day. At 5 o'clock, I delivered my lecture. I have a few definite opinions about art and hypocrisy, and I said exactly what was on my mind. In any event, the people seemed to enjoy it. But when the lecture was over, Mary said...
Wait a minute. Who's Mary?
Mary Gardner. She's Mr. Barton's secretary. She said Mr. Barton wanted to see me.
And I'm not at all happy with the nature of your lectures, Mr. Steele. I agreed to the series on the basis of your war record and Stevenson's recommendation, but I'm afraid it's not working out.
But we're drawing the biggest crowd you ever had. Why, this afternoon...
This museum is supported entirely by wealthy patrons, and we cannot afford to antagonize them.
The only people who could possibly be antagonized by what I've got to say are the ones who wear culture like a mink coat. People who use this museum on a social front.
That such a condition may exist gives you no license to discuss it with the public. And your criticisms of surrealist painting, really, sir, your behavior's been inexcusable.
Well, the people don't seem to think so, nor the newspapers.
The trustees are meeting here tonight. We'll see what they have to say.
Well, in that case, I hope you'll mention the English exhibit. There are a lot of people who'd like to see those paintings, Mr. Barton, besides the friends of the Board of Trustees.
The paintings are crated for shipment back to London. To hang them again is unnecessary, expensive, and inconvenient. I will say so at the meeting. I will also say that your suggestion about X-ray equipment is ridiculous.
Why?
Because this is a museum. We're here to show paintings, not to question their authenticity.
The Metropolitan and the Louvre have used X-ray without any complications. I thought it might be interesting to the public if we showed them some of those masterpieces under the X-ray.
I will do my best to present your position to the board.
All right. And tell them to make up their minds whether this place is to be run like a public institution or a tea party. Good night, Mr. Barton. Well, I left Barton's office, Lieutenant. I came downstairs, met Miss Cordell, and then
Just a second. Can you verify what he's told us, Mr. Barton? That argument in your office?
What he said is true. I resent calling it an argument.
Okay, Steele. You met Miss Cordell. Then what?
She wasn't alone. Mr. Traben here was with her.
I enjoyed your lecture very much, Mr. Steele.
Thank you. Say, Terry,
You're Captain Steele, aren't you?
I was Captain Steele.
Yes, you're the lad who turned up all those forgeries in the Nazi art collection. That was a great job.
Thanks. Terry, you free for dinner?
Oh, I'm sorry, George, but Mr. Traben
Well,
and
why don't you join us? I'm very anxious to hear more about your work on those forgeries.
Some other time. Good night.
George! Oh, now, wait a minute. Hey.
Well?
You're pouting. Come on, what's the beef?
There's no beef. Only sometime when you can spare a few minutes, cut me in, will you?
George, I'd like a cocktail. It's early. I can tell Mr. Traben to pick me up in an hour. Please.
Okay. I'll meet you at the door in 5 minutes.
We took you out for cocktails, Miss Cordell. Where?
Barclay's. It's a sort of restaurant. We eat there quite often.
But this time you just drank, is that it?
Take it easy. We had one drink. We just sat there talking. Got a nickel, Terry? Because if you haven't, I have.
What do I need a nickel for?
Phone call. That's all it'd take to break your date with Traben.
I'm tempted, darling. You know, I haven't really seen you for days. I hate to admit it, but I miss you.
Excuse me, Mr. Steele. There's a call for you, long distance.
Long distance? I'll be right back, Terry.
Who was it? George, is anything wrong?
It's from the hospital in Glenby. My mother's sick. I just have time to make a train.
Oh, darling, I'm sorry. I'll go to the station.
No. You go ahead and have your date with Traben. I love you, Terry.
Call me in the morning, darling. Let me know.
Yes, sir?
Round trip to Glenby. I'm in kind of a hurry.
Yes, sir. That'll be
Here.
Hey, mister. Hey, you change, hey?
Good. All aboard.
Hey, Bud, tell him to hold it a minute, will you? My friend here's had a few too many, and I'm...
Okay. Can you hold it for a second, conductor? That fellow's trying to help us friend make the train.
Oh, sure. Hey, mister, wait a second. I'll give you a hand. So you got on the train to Glenby, Steele. The train you think was wrecked.
Yes.
See anyone you knew on the train, George?
No, Doctor. I sat down and looked out the window. That fellow with the drunk, they sat down right behind me, and I tried to read a newspaper, but I couldn't. I was thinking about my mother, hoping I'd get there in time.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have here a 1 pound box of delicious chocolate covered bonbons, shortly going on sale at $2 a pound. Now I'm giving them away absolutely free as a special advertising offer. Of course, there'll be a slight charge of 25 cents for boxing and wrapping. Okay, lady, how many?
Just one, please.
Yes, ma'am, and thank you. And the gentleman here, how many, mister?
Any cigarettes?
Maybe you didn't hear me, mister. This trip is candy.
All right, I'll get you the next trip.
Next trip is coffee, sandwiches, and apples. The next trip is cigarettes. Now, folks, I'm going through this car just once with this special introductory offer.
Marlin, next stop, Marlin. Oh, how do you do, Mr. Ames?
Evening, conductor.
Next stop, Marlin. Marlin, next.
I just looked at my watch, Lieutenant, when I saw it coming. There was a curve so I could see it through the window clearly. The headlight of another train cutting through the darkness. Brighter and brighter and brighter. It was my imagination. It had to be, but it wasn't. That other train was on our track. I wanted to shout some kind of warning, but I couldn't. I just sat there watching, and then it happened. Everything exploded in front of me. There were screams. That's all I remember until I woke up here.
Quite a story. Can you think of some way to prove it?
Yes. Where's my coat?
Don't bother. You haven't got a ticket stub. We went through all your pockets. Oh, Johnson.
Yeah, Lieutenant?
Call the hospital in Glenby. Check on a Mrs. Steele.
Mrs. Albert Steele.
Okay.
I don't get it. I just don't get it.
George, you've been working pretty hard, you know.
Of course I have. I've been overseas, Dr. Lowell. I've got a lot of time to make up.
Well, did you have any, unusual experiences overseas?
Yes. One day I got a V-mail letter I could read.
I didn't mean to sound unsympathetic. But it's possible that your war experiences plus overwork would be the answer.
Lieutenant, what are you going to do?
Right now, I'm going to have a smoke.
George, tell me. Do you recall ever being in a railroad wreck or having some similar experience when you were a child?
Here's a match, Lieutenant.
Thanks, Straben. Dr. Lowell's working on him.
Yes, you played that quite well inside. I'm much obliged.
The museum, Barton. Do they really know why you're in New York?
I don't think so. Would you mind very much turning Steele loose?
I can't do that. He's ripe for a psycho ward.
He'd be much safer there, but I'd rather have him running around for a while. It might help.
What's your guess? That he's mixed up in this thing you're working on?
That's what I'd like to find out.
How?
I was wondering if I could borrow a couple of your men to put on his trail.
It won't look very good on the records if somebody gets hurt.
Well, I'll try and see that nothing happens. Well, let's get back in there.
Now, it's just a matter of facing the facts realistically, George.
All right. I'm psychopathic. Sure, I was frightened by a train when I was 6 years old, only I don't remember it.
George, please, dear.
Did you get to hospital, Johnson?
Yes, sir. They got a lot of patients, but no one named Mrs. Steele.
I thought so.
Go on, then. Lock me up.
Mr. Barton, you willing to forget the damages to your front door?
Please, my only concern, Lieutenant, is to avoid publicity.
How about you, Dr. Lowell? How do you feel about it?
When a friend's ill, you want to help him, not punish him.
Okay. I'm probably making a mistake, Steele, but I'm letting you go. Now lay off that vino. And don't take any more train rides or you're liable to wind up in Bellevue.
Here's your coat, George. Better put it on.
Thanks. Mr. Barton, I'm sorry about this. I can't understand, but I'll make up for it. From now on, my lectures will be conservative and dull.
The board has already tentatively considered canceling your lectures. I think, under the circumstances, we'd better make the decision final.
I see.
Let's get you home, George. You need to rest.
Sure.
I'll find a cab, Miss Cordell. Good night, gentlemen, and thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
George, how can you just stand here smiling? Well, look. Your whole apartment's been wrecked. Furniture, papers.
Have a chair, Mr. Traben. Just pick anyone off the floor that you like.
George.
Maybe I wrecked the place. Sure, maybe I did it. Well, if I can dream up train wrecks, why not this?
Except you didn't.
I couldn't have.
The police, probably. One of Cochrane's men while he was with us at the museum.
Routine checkup. Somebody should have dropped one of Cochrane's men on Nagasaki. Would have accomplished the same thing much cheaper.
Cops mean well. They're just notoriously untidy.
It's strange, but you Americans are always fighting an undeclared war against your police. You know, cops are only human. They might respond to a little respect and affection.
George, these papers
They're
here...
part of my file on the German forgeries.
I wonder why they'd interest the police. Well, I hope you'll feel better after a little rest. Good night, Mr. Steele. Let me know if there's anything I can do.
Yes, I will.
You coming, Miss Cordell?
Later. I want to talk to George. Thanks for being such a help.
Well, that's all right. Good night.
Terry, what do you think? What is happening? All of a sudden, I don't know myself. Everything has become unfamiliar.
It'll clear up.
Oh, I've quarreled with you a lot since I've been back home, haven't I?
You've been normally jealous.
Seen a lot of good guys crack up in this war. Cool, composed cookies one day and the next snap like a tight violin string. was the one fear everybody had. You kept thinking it might happen to me.
There's nothing wrong with your mind, so stop it. Your ego's a little bruised because for once you don't know all the answers. But there's nothing wrong with your mind.
I still don't know whether I've been in a train wreck or not. I've got to find out.
All right, do handstands. Knock your head against the wall. Show your muscles. Do anything you like.
What's wrong, darling? What's going on?
I'm sorry. I'm mad, I guess. Confused. A little scared. Last night in Barclays, for the first time in 3 years, I began to sense what life could be like again. You and I, and then... Oh, I don't know what happened any more than you do, darling. I don't really care. I just resent it.
How's the dinner with Traben? Did you have any fun?
No. George, I'm going home. Will I see you tomorrow?
Oh, I hope so. How about Barclays at 6 o'clock?
6 will be fine. Now, come here, you big lug, and kiss me goodnight. We're supposed to be engaged, remember?
Yeah, I remember, darling. Don't worry, Terry. I'll get to the bottom of this, and soon, too.
George, where on earth have you been all day?
Hello, Terry. Sit down.
I called your apartment. I called the museum. Oh, darling, what's the matter?
You wouldn't be working with Cochran, would you, Terry?
Don't be silly.
He could have told you where I've been. You see that fellow at the bar? The one in the raincoat, I mean. He's been on my trail all day, follows me everywhere, and I mean everywhere.
George, don't. Whatever you're going to do, don't.
I've got to find out what happened last night.
How can you? Where would you begin?
Well, for one thing, if I could lose that Joe, I could get on the same train. Keep my eyes open. I've got to find somebody or something to tip me off as to what went on.
Just leave it alone. What would that accomplish?
Excuse me, Terry. I'll be right back. Say, waiter, come here, will you?
Yes, Mr. Steele.
There's a fellow over there at the end of the bar. You see him? He just got up. Tell him Lieutenant Cochran wants him on the phone. Oh, well, wait a minute. Here. This is for you.
Oh, thanks, Mr. Steele. I'll tell him. Oh, I beg your pardon, sir.
Where'd that man go? One you were just talking to?
The washroom, sir. Oh, you wanted on the phone, Lieutenant Cochran, sir.
How'd you know who I am?
The man on the phone. He said you'd be wearing a gray raincoat.
Okay, thanks. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hello, Cochran.
This is Detective Waters, Lieutenant. Sorry, sir, but your boyfriend's shaking me.
Where are you, Waters?
At Barclays. Steele rigged up a phony telephone call. When I went in the booth, he slipped out through the washroom window.
That's a tough break. He's got something on his mind, Waters. And whatever it is, he wants to do it alone. Don't worry. We'll be hearing from Steele again.
Act 2 of Crack Up, starring Pat O'Brien and Lynn Bari, will follow in a moment. Why that satisfied look, Libby?
I was just thinking what a wonderful year it's been here in Hollywood for the many actors who served in the armed forces, who came back and found a welcome from producers and public.
Like Tyrone Power, lately of the U.S. Marines?
Yes, he's one. You know, Darryl Zanuck thought Tyrone was so right for the part of Larry Darrell in The Razor's Edge that he held up production at 20th Century Fox for 8 months until Tyrone got out of the Marines.
Knowing Somerset Maugham's book, I'd say Power was just about perfect for the part of the idealistic hero.
Who, believe it or not, spurns the love of his fiancée, Jean Tierney. Imagine, and she's so beautiful in The Razor's Edge. Her clothes were simply gorgeous. 20th Century Fox outdid themselves.
I didn't know gorgeous fabrics were plentiful these days.
They're not, but the studio improvised like wizards. For instance, they made a lace gown out of lace tablecloths.
They couldn't improvise stockings, though, could they, Libby?
No, but you don't need many stockings when they get Lux Care, as they do at the Hollywood studios.
That holds true for girls everywhere, Libby. Because with Lux, stockings last so much longer.
When I see girls using a strong soap for stockings, it really hurts me. Why, they're practically cutting the wear in half.
That's right, Libby. And you know, I was thinking of all the girls who got stockings for Christmas. I hope they'll remember what our strain tests proved, that stockings washed with Lux Flakes lasted twice as long as those washed with a strong soap.
That's just like getting an extra pair with every new pair.
So be kind to those new stockings, won't you, ladies, and Lux them after every wearing. Here's your producer, William Keeley.
We continue with Act 2 of Crack Up, starring Pat O'Brien as George Steele and Lynn Bari as Terry. Convinced that he was involved in a train wreck, George Steele tries desperately now to retrace his steps of the night before. Again in Grand Central Station, he hopes to find his first clue at the ticket window.
Next, please. Round trip to Glenby.
Glenby? Yes, sir.
Say, were you on duty last night?
Yes?
The same window?
I don't know, mister. We switch around.
I bought a ticket here last night. I left some change. I wondered if you might have remembered me.
Say, buddy, I got a train to catch.
I see hundreds of faces every day, mister. I can't remember them all.
Okay, thank you.
What is this, a game? Give me a round trip to Albany.
Cigars, cigarettes, candy. I got cigar, folks. I got cigarettes and candy. I'm passing through the car just once.
Say, fella.
Yes, sir.
Cigarettes.
What kind?
What kind did I get last night?
Are you kidding, Joe? What do you think? I keep books?
You don't remember?
Get this guy. You want I should remember what kind of butts you smoke?
It is important. Please, try to remember.
What a character. Cigars, cigarettes, candy.
Marlin, next stop. Marlin.
Conductor.
Yes, sir?
Do you recall seeing me on this train last night? I sat right here, the same seat.
Oh, sorry, mister. I can remember a name, but I can never remember a face. Marlin, next. Marlin.
They don't remember. None of them. But I remember. I looked out the window and I saw it coming. There was a curve in the roadbed. And I saw it coming toward... It's there again. The headlight. Straight for us like a shell out of a gun. We're going to crash. We're going to crash. We're going to crash.
Marlin. Marlin's the next stop.
Marlin. Yes. That's the place. I'll get off. I'll get off at Marlin.
Ticket office is closed, mister. Sorry.
No, I didn't want a ticket. Are you the station master?
Sure am.
Do you remember if anyone got off the train here last night?
What train?
Same train I just got off.
Well, now, I don't know.
Here's $5. Will that help your memory?
Now, that's a funny thing.
What?
You a private detective? You checking on Mrs. Anderson's husband?
Anderson?
Mrs. Anderson give me $5, too. Just to tell her if he gets off the train with a certain party.
Well, did he? Did anyone get off?
Yeah, but not Mr. Anderson. A couple of fellas got off. They was carrying another fella so full of liquor he couldn't even walk.
Look at me. Could I have been the man they were carrying? Could I?
Didn't notice, mister. Sorry.
Where'd they take me? Where'd they take this man?
Put him in a car.
What kind of a car?
Mister, I ain't been able to tell one kind of a car from another since 1924. Anything else I can tell you?
No, not now. Thanks. Thanks very much.
Hello?
Mr. Stevenson?
Yes?
Frank, this is George.
George, where are you?
On the way to see you if I can. Anyone with you in your apartment?
No, come on up.
Things are starting to make sense, Frank. I need your help. I'll be there in 10 minutes. I'm sure of it, Frank. I'm sure of it. I was on that train last night, and the drunk behind me was a plant.
Go on.
Well, I was slugged. Hit on the head when that other train rushed by. Then they took me off at Marlin. It looked, well, just like two fellas helping a drunk.
Oh, but why would anybody want to...
Discredit me! Make it look like I was a dipso or crazy or both. I'm in somebody's way, Frank. And it connects with the museum.
But how do you account for swearing you were in a train wreck? Or for trying to break into the museum last night and still not know about it?
Yes, I don't know yet. Look, something's going on at the museum. You know. I want you to tell me.
Okay. This is strictly confidential, George. You remember that painting by Gainsborough we had in the museum? The one that was lost at sea in an explosion?
Yes, of course I do.
Well, Barton got a letter from a friend of his in London named Montague, telling him that it was not an accident.
Not an accident?
That's all I know. Barton's been suspecting everybody ever since.
Frank, you've got to get me into the museum tonight.
Tonight? But why?
To check the files. You have a key. I've got to find out if anybody connected with the museum has a house in Marlin.
Oh, you can't risk going near the museum. The police had...
Oh, yes. I guess maybe you're right.
I'll go. You wait here. I'll get your information and call you within the hour.
Hello?
I've got to talk fast, George. I'm at the museum. Barton was here when I arrived. We had a serious run-in. Can't tell you now, but you've got to get down here and help me check something. It's important.
How will I get in and not be seen?
I'll leave the basement door open. You'll have to hop over the back wall. I'll be waiting at the vault. That you, George? Over here by the vault. Careful. I don't dare turn on the light till we can close the door. I found something, George. These paintings we're sending back to England. Someone's been trying to open the crates. I think... Who are you?
Hello? Hello, George? Is that you? Darling, where are you?
Terry, Frank Stevenson's dead. Murdered at the museum.
Oh, no.
I'm glad to see you. Do you remember that penny arcade on 6th Avenue? How soon could you get over there?
20 minutes.
I'll meet you there. I'm sorry, darling. I can't tell you anything more till I see you. Stand next to me, Terry. I'll keep playing this pinball machine. I don't dare look up until I have to.
There's a policeman out front.
Yes, I know. This isn't going to make sense, Terry. But I'll tell you what I know. That train last night, I was slugged. Who did it? Why they took me? I can't answer that yet. Tonight, Frank Stevenson went to the museum to find something for me. I was going to meet him there. I met him all right. He was dead. The watchman must have spotted me. Before I could leave, the police rushed in. I got away, phoned you, and here I am.
The police aren't wasting any time. I had the radio on in my car on the way here. Your description's bouncing out of every loudspeaker in town.
I'll keep out of their way.
Darling, you can't dodge the police forever. Go to Cochrane. Get this out in the open.
No, fine. That's about as smart as slitting my own throat to get some fresh air.
But you didn't kill Stevenson. Surely you can prove that.
Yes, I can. But not if I'm behind a lot of iron grill work. I've got a lot of things to do, and I've got to be free to do them. Terry, what do you know about that Gainsborough painting that was lost at sea?
Only what I read in the papers. It was destroyed in an accidental explosion, and the insurance company paid off.
It wasn't an accidental explosion.
How do you know?
Stevenson told me. And I know that's why he wanted me to meet him at the museum. He must have run into something. Because he did, he was killed.
For an art expert, Mr. Steele, you pay a whale of a game of pinball.
Traben!
I phoned Mr. Traben, George. I told him I was meeting you here.
Oh, that's swell, Terry. Did you send for Cochrane, too?
George, you can't handle this alone.
She's quite right, you know. You need help.
Suppose you tell me how all this concerns you.
I'll tell you what I can at the moment. The only reason you weren't arrested last night after you broke into the museum was because I was able to intervene with Cochrane.
Huh. My fairy godfather. Why?
I'll get to that. You're in pretty deep now. A man's been murdered. Your life is in danger, too.
You haven't answered my question.
You have some information I need. And I know a number of things of great interest to you. Let's get Cochrane and put the pieces together.
I thought I'd see the hook eventually.
Darling, please be reasonable.
Why, I'm overwhelmed. Everybody has my interest at heart. Everybody wants to take me to the cops.
No, we're only asking you to come.
Well, I'd like to think it over. You know, it isn't every day that a man can be booked as a psychopathic killer.
George, you've got to trust us.
I'm not trusting anybody this week.
For Terry's sake, and the sake of your own safety, I'm afraid I must insist. There's a police officer just outside.
Oh. Okay. You win, Traben. I'll...
Oh! George!
He's a sucker for a right in the solar plexus. So long, baby.
That man, what happened?
Somebody fainted. You better get some water.
Good evening, Mr. Barton.
Now, look here, Steele.
Sorry to drag you down here this time of night, but we couldn't very well discuss it on the telephone.
Your audacity, ordering me to meet you here at the waterfront.
And why did you come?
You're wanted for murder. I should have notified Lieutenant Cochrane.
But we both know why you didn't. Cochrane's liable to ask you some embarrassing questions, Mr. Barton. I think I mentioned that when I phoned you. He might want to know what you were doing at the museum when Frank Stevenson was killed.
I was going through my papers. I've had some personal things on my mind. I've been very upset.
Because of that Gainsborough?
Yes.
Well, first of all, Mr. Barton, the Gainsborough destroyed at sea by an accidental explosion was not the original. It was a forgery.
Well...
Now, it's your turn to tell me something. Your friend in London, Mr. Montague, did he tell you how they discovered the forgery?
They examined some of the pieces of canvas found after the explosion. The pigment, it was obviously not the original.
That must have been quite a blow to someone. Someone who has the original in his possession now. Someone who had the forgery painted and then arranged for its destruction. Who is it, Mr. Barton?
I don't know.
Stevenson had found something when he was killed.
How do you know?
Because he had opened some of the packing cases in the vault. There's been another forgery, Mr. Barton. One of those paintings you're shipping back to England.
Don't you think I'd know that? Why do you think I pleaded with Stevenson to let matters alone?
I'm supposed to be an expert at spotting forgeries.
I don't want it exposed. Hasn't there been enough tragedy, enough scandal? Whatever painting it is, and whoever wants it, let him have it. Don't you realize my whole career's at stake? So is my life!
It's my guess they'll try the same trick they pulled with the Gainsborough. Another accident of some kind. Well, I've got to spot that forgery before it leaves this country. That means you've got to get me into the museum tomorrow night.
I refuse, definitely. It's too dangerous.
Since when are you so interested in my health?
Besides, I can't possibly be at the museum tomorrow night. I'm giving a reception for Mr. Trapen in my apartment.
Oh, yes. I heard something about that. Well, you're going to have 2 more guests.
What are you talking
I
about?
want Miss Cordell there. Trapen will be very happy to take her. She may learn something. I'll be the second guest.
Are you insane?
With your help, I should be able to find a nice, cozy spot on the fire escape. Maybe I'll learn something, too.
And what if you're discovered?
Oh, that would be a pity. But I know you won't turn me in, Mr. Barton. You've withheld too much information from the police.
Be at my apartment early. I'll do what I can.
Well, Barton, I've been trying to get you alone all evening.
I'm sorry, Dr. Lowell. I'm always at a loss when it comes to playing host.
Well, Stevenson's death, it's upset you. It's upset all of us.
I would have canceled the reception, of course, except Mr. Trapen's sailing next
By the
week.
way, any news of the fugitive, George Steele?
There's no news. I am sure you would have heard as soon as I.
You're much too nervous, man. You better stop by my office tomorrow. I'll give you a prescription.
Some champagne, Terry?
Thanks, Mr. Traven.
Well, here's luck.
It seems so cruel. Sipping champagne and not knowing where George is or what happened to him.
Well, Cochran has his best men at key spots all over the city. They won't let him get into too much trouble, so I repeat, here's luck.
Oh, I beg your pardon, Mr. Traven.
Yes?
There's a telephone call for you, sir. You can take it right here on the extension.
Thank you. Yes? What? You're sure that's the painting? But it wasn't to be shipped until next week. What vessel? Yes? Yes? What time does she sail? Right. SS Arcadia, Pier 31, North River. Thanks. Terry, do you suppose you could take me for a fast drive?
Now? What's happening?
Come with me while I find Mr. Barton.
What was that you said, Mr. Traven?
Excuse me, I'd better close the door. I said, by whose orders is the Adoration of the Kings being shipped out tonight?
Tonight?
Mr. Barton, it's my job to see that the collection of English paintings on loan to your museum are returned safely to England. The Adoration of the Kings was to leave next week aboard the Regency.
Of course.
But I've just had word it's been taken aboard the Arcadia, sailing at 1 o'clock tonight. Why were the arrangements changed?
Nothing's been changed. The painting is still in the museum.
It better be. Call the museum at once, please. And tell the watchman that I'm coming right over with Miss Cordell.
Steele.
So, the Adoration's leaving tonight, Barton.
You heard Traven?
Yeah.
I swear I know nothing about it. He must be mistaken.
And I must be nuts, because I think you're telling the truth. Miss Cordell's driving him to the museum?
Yes.
They're wasting their time.
Where are you going?
To the SS Arcadia, Pier 31, North River.
We pause now for station identification. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
We'll continue with Act 3 of Crack Up, starring Pat O'Brien and Lynn Bari in a moment. Our special guest tonight is one of those rarities in moviedom, a rising young actress who was actually born in Hollywood, Jacqueline White. How did RKO discover you, Jacqueline?
The talent scout saw me in a class play, Mr. Keeley.
Had you thought of a movie career before?
Practically all my life. I was so happy to sign with RKO.
Have you seen Frank Capra's latest for your studio, It's a Wonderful Life?
Oh, indeed I have.
You know, Jimmy Stewart chose that for his first picture after 5 years in the armed services. His fans are giving him and Donna Reed a warm reception.
Oh, and I had a wonderful time exploring the sets for that picture, Mr. Keeley. You know, they reproduced the whole town of Bedford Falls where the story's laid. And then I saw the colorful Arabian Night sets RKO made for Sinbad the Sailor.
Quite a contrast, weren't they?
Oh, yes. I walked all over that enormous ship with a big high deck.
You know, Douglas Fairbanks can put his commando training to good use in that picture.
Marina Harrow's costumes are gorgeous, too. But for every day, I'll take my own simple ones.
Yes, why?
Well, for one thing, they're so easy to lux.
As a matter of fact, Miss White, RKO luxes more things than you dream possible. Anything safe in water alone. From beruffled costume petticoats to smartly simple 20th century slips.
All I know is that mine look lovely after they're luxed.
I'm glad to hear you say that, Miss White, because that's just what our tests prove. You see, lots of women told us that they luxed their lingerie time after time, but they wondered how much longer Lux Care helped it keep that nice new look. So a well-known laboratory made some tests for us.
On actual slips?
Yes, lace-trimmed and tailored ones. Nighties, too. They found that underthings washed the wrong way soon looked faded and drab. But those washed the Lux way stayed color fresh and lovely 3 times as long.
Oh, that's a big difference.
It is. So you can just imagine what women all over America save, or what studios save, with Lux Care.
I'm making a New Year's resolution to use Lux Flakes for every single thing that's washable.
A mighty good suggestion for the ladies in our audience. Thank you for coming tonight, Miss White. Here is Mr. Keeley at the microphone.
After the final curtain, our stars will join us for a brief chat, and I hope you'll join us too. Here's Act 3 of Crack Up, starring Pat O'Brien as George and Lynn Bari as Terry. At Pier 31, North River, the steamship Arcadia is making ready to weigh anchor. Through the crowd of passengers and well-wishers that line the deck, a figure emerges from the hold, loses itself in the throng, and slips out of sight in the shadows of the wharf.
Well, Lieutenant Cochran, there goes Mr. Steele.
Yeah, with the adoration of the kings under his coat. He's got that painting, Trading.
Undoubtedly. The painting was not at the museum. It must have been on board the ship. Steele found it.
And you're letting him walk off the dock with it.
Steele's not the man we're after.
I'm getting a little tired of hearing that.
I'm using Steele as bait. I have to. If we're ever going to learn who's behind all this.
What about that girl, Miss Cordell?
She's at the end of the dock. She's waiting in her car.
For you or for George Steele?
You're beginning to catch on, Lieutenant. Oh, I trust your men will be trailing him. I'd really hate to see Steele get into any more trouble.
George.
Terry.
Come on, get in the car. It's better than the subway.
Except I can trust the subway. I used to think you worked on a magazine, Terry. What's your real racket? What do you do for a living?
I drive around in cars picking up psychopathic killers. Oh, sometimes you make me so... I was at a party at Barton's. All of a sudden, things started to happen. I drove Traben to the museum and then down here.
Yeah, I know, and I spotted him on the ship, Cochran, too.
Did they see you?
Think I'd be here if they did?
Look, as far as I'm concerned, we can sit here in the car all night unless you have some dim idea of what you're doing and want me to help you.
All right, let's get out of here. Terry, who is Traben?
An art expert.
I know that, from the British Museum.
No, from Scotland Yard. He was sent here to check on the missing Gainsborough.
I've got something here under my coat.
So I noticed. Except I'm not supposed to ask questions, am I?
A canvas, and I just stole it. It's supposed to be Durr's The Adoration of the Kings. I think it's a phony.
How did you get it?
Oh, our friend Traben isn't as nimble as you think he is. I got aboard the Arcadia, went down in the hold, and found a room marked bonded cargo.
And nobody stopped you?
One guy tried to, a sailor. At least he was dressed like a sailor. He was in the hold playing with matches. I put him out first and then the fire.
George.
Yes, the same thing all over again, except for the Gainsborough was an explosion. This time they were trying arson.
That sailor.
What would you want me to do? Take him to Traben? I had to leave him there. I'm wanted for murder, and I've just stolen the painting. You know, it's a funny thing. That night on the train, the fellow with the drunk, I could almost swear he and the sailor are one and the same guy.
I'm driving uptown. Is that okay with you?
Yes. This painting, I've got to get it x-rayed tonight. Make sure it's a phony.
There's no laboratory open this time of night.
Well, I've got an idea. I'm phoning Mary.
Mary? Barton's secretary.
Yeah, she's just a kid, but she's all right, and I know she's got a girlfriend who works in the Contemporary Institute. They've got all kinds of x-ray equipment. Come on, let's find a telephone. Where'd she go, Mary, your friend?
Well, Dorothy thought she'd better wait in the corridor, Mr. Steele. She's terribly worried. She had no right to let us in here, you know, and using the laboratory.
Well, tell Dorothy she can stop worrying. I'm about finished.
George.
Well, I've x-rayed the canvas. You take a look, Terry. Here, I'll put the x-ray into the machine. Well, what do you see?
I don't know. What am I supposed to see?
What you're supposed to see, what you do see, is a forgery of the Adoration of the Kings. The painting I brought here tonight is the Scola copy. Scola was one of the cleverest forgers in the 18th century. Fine artist, but not as good as Dürer.
But how can you tell this isn't Dürer's painting?
Well, the real Adoration of the Kings has been x-rayed before. When Dürer painted it, he used an old canvas, a canvas on which he had once started to paint something else, a landscape. Now, if this were the genuine Adoration, you'd see plenty of evidence of the landscape in this x-ray plate.
But, Mr. Steele...
Yes, Mary?
If that's true, then the painting we had at the museum
Was a phony. Sure. This is it, the Scola copy.
Well, I'll tell Dorothy you're finished.
I'll need a couple of minutes to clean up.
George, finding this out, does this clear you?
No, but with what I know now, I can take my chances.
You were expecting a forgery.
Yes. Frank Stevenson's death gave me that lead.
You mean just knowing was enough to get him killed?
Plenty. Who's ever engineering this isn't kidding.
But they already had the original. This forgery was bound to be discovered.
No, not if it were destroyed. No one would suspect it was a forgery. And even if they did, how could they prove it from a pile of ashes? Well, I better put in a call for Cochran.
Mr. Steele, Dorothy heard someone upstairs. It may be the watchman. Can't we go now?
Well, all righty. Let's go, Terry.
Dorothy says we'll have to go out the same way, the back way through the park.
I hope Dorothy found a taxi. I don't know why she wouldn't let us drive her home.
Oh, you mustn't be offended, either of you, but as soon as she can forget having seen you tonight, the better.
Well, at least we can take you home, Mary. What would be the quickest way to...
Wait a minute. I heard someone. Right there, back of those bushes. Walk ahead with Mary.
Please don't move. Either of you.
Mary.
Yes, I'm talking to you, Miss Cordell and Mr. Steele. I've got a gun, and if necessary, I'll use it. This way, Dr. Lowell. Hurry, please.
In here, Miss Cordell, if you don't mind.
Where's George, Dr. Lowell? What have you done to him?
There on the sofa. I'm sorry, but it was necessary to render him unconscious.
What place is this?
My home, just outside of Marlin. I'm not at all happy to find you involved in this, Miss Cordell. But we'll just have to make the best of it. Mary.
Yes?
Keep that revolver handy, please. Miss Cordell, I sincerely hope you and George will cooperate with me.
By doing what?
I have only one simple question for you to answer. Who else knows the Scola copy was substituted for the original, the Adoration of the Kings?
If I tell you, then what?
You might as well tell me. I have a very valuable Gainsborough and a very valuable Dürer in my possession. I intend to keep them. A fact which Stevenson's death should have impressed upon you. Who else knows?
George mentioned a sailor on the Arcadia.
Oh, yes. One of my employees, as is Mary here. That sailor is now standing guard outside. Well?
All right. The police know. George phoned Cochran as soon as he found out.
George couldn't have known himself until he x-rayed the forgery. And Mary was with you all the time.
He didn't call anybody. She's lying.
Why not ask Mary if she left the lab while George was working?
Did you, Mary?
Yes, I had to. I had to call you.
Of course you did.
She left another time to talk to her friend.
I know she's lying, Doctor.
Then we'll just have to find out the truth from George. I'm preparing a hypodermic needle, Miss Cordell. This drug is called narcosynthesis. Something quite new. Discovered during the war. One small injection and the brain is illuminated with accuracy. It also acts as an hypnotic. You're doing fine, George. Just fine. Have you up and around in the morning? I'm going to give you a little injection now. It won't hurt. There we are. Now, George, count with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. George, can you hear me, George?
Yes.
You're in the laboratory now. You've X-rayed the painting. What are you going to do?
Telephone Cochran. No. No, I can't.
Why not?
Mary. She just came in the door.
Don't you trust Mary?
She's a nice kid. I don't want to involve her. I'd better wait. I'm sleepy.
Yes, that's it, George. You rest for a while. Well, Miss Cordell, George called your bluff. He didn't telephone.
What are you going to do with him?
I must dispose of you both. You can't understand how much these paintings mean to me, can you? Museums have a habit of wasting great art on fools who can't differentiate between trash and these masterpieces that mean everything to me. My method harmed no one, but now it's menaced. It was threatened when George first came to the Manhattan Museum. He alone of the staff was an expert on recognizing forgeries. What time is it? It used to be that you could set your watch by the trains that pass here. Our schedules are more uncertain these days. You'll forgive my waiting, though. Gunshots at this time of night. Well, I wouldn't like to wake my neighbors. However, they're used to the roar of the Chicago train. Ah, yes. That gun, Mary. Thank you.
Please. You must know you'll be discovered. Sooner or later you'll
Sooner or later, we all must die.
Mr. Traven!
I'm sorry, Terry. We had to do it this way. Cochran, take care of Mary.
Sit down, sweetheart.
George!
He'll be all right in a moment when the injection wears off. But I'm afraid he'll think he's been in another train wreck.
Was this where they brought him the first time?
Yes. Lowell drugged him that time, too. Under the hypnotic, it wasn't hard to convince George that he'd been in a train wreck. The trains roaring by here helped the illusion. A devilishly brilliant plot to make George seem insane. Well, Mary, anything to say? We want those paintings. The original Gainsborough and the original Dürer. If you don't help us, we'll see that you're tried as an accessory to Stevenson's murder.
Come on, sister. You heard him.
There. That picture over the mantel.
What are you trying to pull? Even I know that's not a Gainsborough.
Well, help me get it down, Cochran.
Take care of the dame, Wilson.
Yes, sir. This way, miss.
It's a heavy frame. Better take it slowly.
How long have you been here?
15 minutes.
All the time this was going on?
Easy now, Cochran. What's the mantle? The lieutenant here was right behind you, Terry. I was detained a little, taking care of that sailor outside.
Well, why didn't you stop, Lowell?
I was under the impression that I had.
No, I mean before. You could have.
Yes, I could have, but I didn't have the paintings. I waited until the last possible moment for Lowell to reveal them. He didn't. But I couldn't let him shoot both of you, could I? Hence our melodramatic entrance. There you are, Cochran. Hidden in the back of the frame. Number 1, the Gainsborough.
You knew from the beginning that there was a forgery in the museum? That the Dürer had been switched in the vault?
Yes, I knew. Number 2, the Adoration of the Kings. No doubt about it, those boys could paint.
Well, you might have told me. I was supposed to have been helping you.
You've been a great help, Terry. But the forgery is one thing I couldn't tell you. It's obvious from 10 paces that you're in love with George, and I couldn't take the risk of your telling him. Had he known, he might have stopped running about and working on the mystery.
And Mr. Barton, he knew nothing about it?
If you mean Lowell, no. Barton's been just an unhappy old gentleman trying desperately to avoid a scandal.
The train. We're going to crash. We're going to crash.
This is where I came in, remember?
It's all right, darling. It's all right.
Terry. What place is this? What's been... Traven. Cochran.
Now, don't tell me you've been in another train wreck.
Yes, I have. What do you want to make out of it? When I say I've been somewhere, I've been somewhere, and this time I can prove it. Terry was with me, weren't you?
Yes, dear. We were in a train wreck, a big one, enormous.
There, you see?
No, you weren't with me.
No, of course not, darling. I was here all the time.
Everybody's nuts around this place but me.
Well, I won't deny I'm slightly dizzy about you.
What?
She should make a wonderful wife, Steele.
No, wait a minute. Enough's happened I don't know about. Don't tell me we got married.
Why, darling, that's the sweetest proposal I've ever heard.
Well, I give up. Come on, honey. As long as I need a keeper, you've got the job for life.
Before our stars return for their curtain calls, let's see what happened at the Browns tonight. It's their wedding anniversary.
Come on, Mom, open her up. Gosh, nothing but a box of Lux.
Nothing but? You don't know how lucky you are when you get Lux these days. And I'll be doing a lot of dishwashing during this week with the holiday, Johnny.
Well, I still think that's an awful funny kind of a present.
Go on to bed, you scalawags. This is your mother's night.
Well, good night. Good night.
It was a strange present, John.
I was thinking of all the dishes your hands had washed.
Oh, I don't quite see.
Well, perhaps I'm just being sentimental, but do you remember a very special evening 14 years ago?
Yes, John. You apologized for not giving me an engagement ring.
I couldn't afford one that was good enough for your pretty hands.
Oh, silly.
I wanted to wait until I could give you a really beautiful one. And so, close your eyes.
Oh, John. Oh, John, it's too gorgeous. You shouldn't have.
Yes, scores of women wash dishes every day, yet their hands never show it because they use gentle Lux Flakes in the dishpan. If you've let your hands get rough and red, change right now from strong soaps to Lux. You'll see a definite improvement in just a few days. Budgeteers find Lux thrifty, too. Ounce for ounce, it washes up to twice as many dishes as any of 10 other leading soaps tested. We can't make enough Lux to satisfy all our customers all the time, but we're spreading it as fairly as we can. So keep on asking for it. We return you now to William Keighley.
Here's the last curtain call of 1946 as we bring our stars back to the footlights to receive our thanks. Pat O'Brien and Lynn Bari. You helped us end the old year in a blaze of glory.
Thanks, Bill. It was great working with you again.
You got back just in time, Pat.
Yes, and I'm sure our audience would like to hear about your trip to England. That's the first time a command performance for the King and Queen has included picture stars.
That's right, Bill. Naturally, it was quite a thrill.
What did you do personally, Pat?
Well, I did a Burt Williams number, a poker game in Panama.
Oh, I remember that number. I'm sure your audience enjoyed it.
After the performance, didn't you travel quite a bit?
What do you mean? I had to get out fast? Yes, we slipped over to Ireland, saw the Abbey Players.
And, of course, you kissed the Blarney Stone.
Think I really had to, Bill?
No, Pat, I don't.
After that, where'd you go, Pat?
Well, we started to fly to Italy. Got grounded in Switzerland, drove 550 miles across the Italian frontier for a private audience with His Holiness the Pope.
Sounds like a highly eventful trip. What was the first thing you did when you got back?
Well, one of the first was to catch Lynn Bari in her new RKO picture, Nocturne.
Oh, that's sweet of you, Pat. And speaking of pictures, what are you presenting next week, Bill?
Next Monday night, we start the new year off with a timely and highly provocative romantic drama. It's RKO's recent screen hit, Till the End of Time. And our cast is an excellent one, headed by lovely Lorraine Day, and co-starring two of Hollywood's outstanding younger players. First, Bill Williams, who has soared to stardom in a series of fine roles. Second, that equally brilliant young actor, Robert Mitchum, both appearing as the ex-Marines who face the problems of adjustment and romance against the background of this turbulent era.
A very moving and exciting play, Bill.
And a great cast. If we'll be listening, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Good night and Happy New Year to you. As we usher in another year, I hardly need remind you that the world today is faced with grave responsibilities. It's time indeed to ring out the old, ring in the new. Ring in a new world order of cooperation, mutual respect, and peace. For the years ahead are years of great decision, years that call for the larger heart, the kindlier hand, to ring out the 1,000 wars of old, ring in the 1,000 years of peace. Lever Brothers Company, the makers of Lux Flakes, join me in wishing you the best of health and happiness in 1947. And we invite you to be with us again next Monday evening when the Lux Radio Theater presents Lorraine Day, Robert Mitchum, and Bill Williams in Till the End of Time. This is William Keighley saying good night to you from Hollywood.
During the holidays, you'll probably be doing extra cooking. Be sure to save every drop of used fat, grease from ham or bacon, or the drippings from turkey or roast goose. Save the fat in a tin can and turn it in to your dealer. He'll pay you for every pound. Used fat is badly needed to supplement the short supply of fats and oils in this country. Remember, fats are needed not only for soaps, but for making automobiles, refrigerators, washing machines, and scores of other things you want. Pat O'Brien will next be seen in the RKO production, The Amazing Mr. Hammer. Heard in our cast tonight were Lester Matthews as Trabin, John McIntyre as Dr. Lowell, Herbert Butterfield as Barton, and Cliff Clark, Stanley Waxman, June Whitley, Eddie Marr, Norman Field, Dick Ryan, Charles Seal, Ed Emerson, Tyler McVeigh, and Franklin Parker. Our music was directed by Louis Silvers. This program is broadcast to our men and women overseas through cooperation with the Armed Forces Radio Service. This program has come to you with the good wishes of the makers of Lux Flakes, the safe, gentle care recommended 33-1 by makers of nice washables. And this is your announcer, John Milton Kennedy, reminding you to tune in again next Monday night to hear Till the End of Time with Lorraine Day, Bill Williams, and Robert Mitchum.
Spry.
When you bake and fry.
Spry.
For your cake and pie.
Spry.
It's your shortening by.
Rely on Spry.
Yes, it's pure all-vegetable Spry for tender, flaky pastry, light, rich-flavored cakes, and crisp, golden, digestible fried foods.
Rely on Spry.
S-P-R-Y.
Rely on Spry.
S-P-R-Y.
Be sure to listen in next Monday night to the Lux Radio Theater presentation of Till the End of Time with Lorraine Day, Bill Williams, and Robert Mitchum. And why not tune in a half hour earlier to hear Joan Davis over most of these stations?
This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Lux presents Hollywood. Lever Brothers Company, the makers of Lux Flakes, bring you the Lux Radio Theater, starring Robert Montgomery, Wanda Hendricks, and Thomas Gomez in Ride the Pink Horse. Ladies and gentlemen, your producer, Mr. William Keighley.
Greetings from Hollywood, ladies and gentlemen. Most everyone who visits the little Mexican town of Taos makes the acquaintance of Tio Vivo, Spanish for Uncle Lively, the antique merry-go-round which at fiesta time becomes a center of activity. A similar antique carousel provides the title of Universal International screenplay, Ride the Pink Horse, a violent drama of pursuit and vengeance. And this time we present not only the original star of the picture, but its director as well, Robert Montgomery, co-starred with Wanda Hendricks and Thomas Gomez. Laid in a typical southwestern town, the action takes place at fiesta time, which traditionally calls for music, ancient ceremonials, and colorful costumes. And the job of keeping those costumes new-looking for tonight's screenplay was, naturally, assigned to Lux Flakes. For a studio, you know, well, they can't take chances with expensive costumes. And according to our director star, Lux Care kept those fabrics lovely-looking throughout the shooting schedule. Here's Act One of Ride the Pink Horse, starring Robert Montgomery as Gagin, Wanda Hendricks as Pila, and Thomas Gomez as Pancho. It's the week of the fiesta in San Pablo, New Mexico, and the little town revels in gaiety. Celebrating tourists jam the hotels, and mingle with colorfully dressed Indians and Mexicans on the crowded streets. But one visitor has come to San Pablo for anything but a good time. Leaving the bus station, he's taken a wrong turn and wandered to the edge of town. There, on a vacant lot, is a seedy little merry-go-round. Pancho, the proprietor, is clamoring for customers.
Vengan, young ladies, come. Get on the horses and go round. Solamente 10 centavos, only 10 cents. The most beautiful of all the games. The best of the fiesta. Senor, you ride the carousel? 10 cents.
No. I'm looking for a hotel. The La Fonda Hotel. Where is it?
La Fonda Hotel. Other way, senor.
I'll show you the hotel. Villa, you shut up.
What's the matter with her? You. Why are you staring at me like that?
I'll show you hotel.
Okay. Show me.
This way, senor.
Villa. All the time she says she has dreams. She dreams she meets men.
Oh, she and her dream. That baby, she should be home playing with her dog.
Come on, Sitting Bull. Pick up your feet. Where's that hotel?
There's hotel. Over there.
Thanks.
Please, you take this, senor.
What is it?
Little door, carved of wood. My grandmother gave it to me yesterday when I come here so I'll not be run over.
No, I'm not buying any souvenirs.
No, you don't buy. You keep it. It protects you.
Protect me? From what?
Take care, senor.
Hey, come back here. I don't want your doll. Crazy kid. Yeah. I want to see Frank Hugo.
Mr. Hugo's not here.
These are his rooms, aren't they? Suite 315, La Fonda Hotel?
I said Mr. Hugo's not here.
I'll wait for him.
You can wait in the lobby.
I don't like the lobby. It's too crowded. Who are you?
I'm his private secretary.
How soon will he be back? I said how... Who are you phoning?
Hotel manager.
I wouldn't do that.
Hello? Give me the...
Never mind, operator.
Oh, hello. Is Frank in?
No.
But where's Jonathan? I thought he... Oh. Did you do that to him?
He'll be all right.
Do you mind my asking what you're doing here?
Waiting for Frank Hugo.
Well, he ought to be here any moment. I'm having dinner with him. Do you expect to join us?
Look, why don't you just sit down and stop pumping, huh?
I was just curious. Do you mind if I... Shall I answer?
You stay right where you are. Hello? No, Jonathan's not here. Yeah, this is Mr. Hugo's room. Oh, hello, Mr. Hugo. No, there's nobody here. This is the bellboy speaking. I just brought up some ice. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I will.
That obviously was Frank.
Frank himself.
Miss Lundeen.
Oh, hello, Jonathan.
The police. Call the police.
I don't think this gentleman would approve.
Your boss just telephoned, Jonathan. He won't be back till morning.
Well, that thing stood up with a vengeance. Oh, you're not leaving, are you?
Yeah.
When I see Frank, who shall I say drop by?
Tell him Shorty's pal is looking for him.
Shorty's pal?
Yeah. And tell him I'll be back.
Hello there, Mr. Gagin.
Who are you?
Well, my name's Rex, R-E-T-Z, Rex.
I don't know you.
I know a lot of things about you. You got here on the 4 o'clock bus from Washington, D.C. Little Mexican girl showed you the way to this hotel. You went to Frank Hugo's rooms, but he wasn't there.
Anything else?
Oh, little. Let's talk it over in the coffee shop.
Sure. Let's talk it over.
More coffee, Gagin?
No.
You've got a real tough problem on your hands, young fella.
Now, look,
I mean accommodations. Not a vacant room in town. Fiesta's going on. Big nights tomorrow. Lots of excitement.
Yeah. Look, you a cop?
That's about right.
Washington?
Mm-hmm.
Government cop, eh? My. How come you're tailing me, Uncle Sam?
Oh, I'm not tailing you. I got in yesterday, way ahead of you. You see, I saw you in Washington run after Shorty Thompson was killed. You were at the inquest, correct?
Some inquest.
You testified you had no idea who killed your pal.
Yeah. The cops and I were equally baffled.
Maybe not so much now.
What are you doing here?
Oh, I'm tailing Frank Hugo. Been watching him for months.
You don't watch him very close, do you?
You mean you think he killed Shorty?
I'll leave the thinking to you, Uncle Sam.
I think you're here to square things for Shorty by knocking off Hugo.
Go on.
Also, you're as dumb as they come.
I am, huh?
Why, Mr. Hugo's a big man in these parts. He's got a lot of friends in this state. Leave him to us, Gagin. We'll get him.
Anything else?
Only that I wouldn't like it if Mr. Hugo got you. You're not a bad fella, Gagin. You're like a lot of the boys. All worked up because you fought a war and got nothing out of it but a dangle of ribbons. Now, why don't you let your Uncle Sam take care of guys like Hugo?
How long you been after him?
Too long to let anything happen to it now.
Be a shame, wouldn't it? Well, thanks for the advice, Uncle Sam.
Maybe I sized you up all wrong. Maybe you're after something else.
And maybe you're working for Hugo.
I told you I work for the government.
Doesn't the government work for Hugo? It did all during the war. Sorry, Mr. Retz. I gotta start looking for a room.
Please don't crowd the desk, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very sorry, but there just isn't a room to be had.
Hey, you, bellboy. Any luck?
Oh, senor, I telephone all my friends. No rooms anywhere, but maybe you try Tres Violetas. You find something there.
What is that, the Tres Violetas?
Hey,
huh?
saloon, senor. A Mexican part of town. You find Indian or Mexican, they have room and house. Give them a couple of bucks, you move out.
Where is this, whatchamacallit? Where is it?
It's very easy to find, senor. I tell you just where it is.
Okay. Hey, you. That place there, is that the Tres Violetas?
Yes, senor.
Do you know if, Oh. So it's you again. What are you doing here?
I'm waiting.
You don't say.
I thought I would never see you anymore.
Look, Sitting Bull, do you know where I can get a room?
A room? Why?
To sleep in.
Oh, Mamma Mia has a room.
You know her?
Yes.
Where does she live?
I don't know. I'm lost.
I thought you knew this town.
I know where a hotel is because I walked past it, but I've never been to San Pablo before today. I live in San Melo, 75 miles, very far away.
Okay. Now, what are you doing here in front of a saloon?
My girlfriend left me. They say I'm too little.
Where'd they go?
Inside, looking for muchachos.
Looking for what?
Boys.
Oh. Do they know where Mamma Mia lives?
I don't know what they know.
Look, there's something going on inside that head of yours. What is it?
Nothing, senor. Only I don't know what to do tonight.
Oh, why don't you get yourself a muchacho like your friends, huh?
I don't know how.
You telling me. So long, Sitting Bull. Hey, barkeep. I want a drink.
Si, senor. Si.
Whiskey. Big one, see? A big drink. Here.
Senor, this money.
Well, what's the matter with the money?
Too big. No change.
That's the smallest I've got.
Smallest he got. Such a man, he take my whiskey and he give me this. ¿Cuánto es, eh? 20 pesos. ¿Qué cree el señor? ¿Que este es el Banco de México? Un momentito. Senor, I will help you. My name is Pancho. I will be your friend.
Hey, wait a minute. You're the guy at the merry-go-round, eh?
Si, senor. 10 centavos, 10 cents a ride. That's me, Pancho. Give me your money. I tell you what I'm gonna do.
Yeah?
Is 20 pesos, huh?
Yeah?
Is your 20 pesos.
Sure, it's mine.
But barkeeper, he can change only 10, huh? $10 bill I can change. $20 bill. Too much. Pancho fix everything. We drink $10. Everybody have a drink. $10 disappear and everybody happy, eh?
Okay, why not?
You want to make everybody happy, see?
Yeah, sure. Let's make everybody happy.
Otra botella. Tequila for everyone. Amigo, you are the blood of my heart. You are true friend. Salud, amigo, salud.
Salud. Yeah.
Vasco, la música. We have pretty music, senor, and much to drink, eh? Big drinks is more better even than music.
You got something there, Fatso.
Those fellas that play music, amigo, they play because tomorrow we burn Sosobra.
Who?
Sosobra, god of bad luck.
Oh, yeah.
He got face even worse than me. Viva la fiesta! Free drinks for everybody! Free drinks!
Hey, Pancho. Where are we going?
You come with me, amigo. My beautiful amigo. you got kind of face I like. Panchito help you.
You help me what?
You say you got no place for to sleep.
Yeah, well, what can you do about that, huh?
That's the kind of man I like. The sad man with no place. Amigo, Pancho give you most fine place for to sleep in all San Pablo. Now you feel better?
Yeah, what place?
I show you. Hey, you know something? Somebody follow us. Listen.
I don't hear anybody.
Somebody back in shadow there walk very soft, very... It's a girl, senor. She no good, too skinny.
Wait a minute. Hey, will you quit following me around? Now beat it.
It's your girl, huh?
I don't even know her.
She show you to hotel this afternoon, remember?
Go on home and play with your buffaloes, will you?
Them kids. The fiesta bring 'em like honey. They come for sing, for dance, for to get fella, have good time, then go home and pull plow for another year. Hey, Skiddo, hey! Oh, look, she gone. Oh, my goodness, where'd she go?
Hey, forget it. Just tell me where I'm going to sleep, will you?
You don't know? With me, amigo. Right there in back of merry-go-round.
Yeah, but where's your house?
House, senor.
You know you're drunk?
It's possible. But never too drunk for know my own house. Here, the Palace of King Pancho. That fine roof, senor, see? It's fine walls, too.
It's a shed. It's falling to pieces.
2 mattress, amigo. 1 for you.
Yeah, thanks. Well, I've slept on worse, I suppose. Hey, you own that merry-go-round?
Pancho own everything. 12 beautiful horses, 3 beautiful chariots, all Panchos. Hey, you drink pretty good for gringo.
Yeah, and you talk too much. I'm going to sleep.
So long Pancho got somebody he can tell, amigo, I love you. That's enough. They can keep everything else, keep the whole world.
Yeah. Go to sleep.
See, amigo.
Senor.
Are you still here? What do you want, huh? You want a ride? Is that it?
Yes, I want ride. Merry-go-round.
Hey, Fatso, you got a customer.
All closed. No more custom.
Come on, get up.
No ride. It's too late.
Turn it on.
Oh, merry-go-round for skinny kid. Hey, where's 10 cents? There's no free rides. It's a rule.
Okay, here.
Muchas gracias, senor.
You, kid. You ever ride one of these things before?
No, senor. I like.
Hey, Pancho. She likes. Hey, what are you doing?
I turn off, that's all. 1 10 cents is 1 ride.
Okay. Now beat it, kid. Scramble. Go on.
Buenas noches, senor. Gracias.
Yeah.
That skinny kid. Fortune teller, I think.
How do you know?
A crazy dress she wear. Too so many charms for good luck.
You know, this afternoon she give me this doll. What is it?
Ishtam, the good goddess.
Good for what?
Good for keep away death. Very good charm.
I got a better charm, Fatso. See?
Oh, big gun, huh? Why?
Best charm in the world. Keeps away the boogeyman.
Senor, wake up.
What's the matter? Who? Oh, brother.
Wake up. Someone is coming.
Who? Who's coming?
Over there, senor, by merry-go-round. Someone is hiding.
Gagin.
What do you want?
It's me, Rex. I got to thinking maybe we ought to have a little talk. I got a couple of new ideas.
We had a talk, Uncle Sam.
I sort of hinted that I didn't want you removing Mr. Frank Hugo from the scene. Well, I'm not worrying anymore about Mr. Hugo.
Why not?
Because of the way you're handling it. Walking into that hotel room saying Shorty's pal is looking for him. Playing it tough, huh? Well, there's a friend of Mr. Hugo's named Locke. Mr. Locke's got a couple of bad boys out looking for you right now. Does that interest you?
Yeah, kinda.
We'll present Act 2 of Ride the Pink Horse in a moment. You know, Libby, it's encouraging to see the film industry tackling a controversial question, as Darrell Zanuck does in Gentleman's Agreement.
Some mighty fine acting by Gregory Peck went into that story of present-day intolerance. And I was especially interested to see Celeste Holm, the musical comedy star, in a straight dramatic role.
And most attractive, too. 20th Century Fox designed some gorgeous clothes for her to wear.
Well, after all, as a fashion editor, she had to look the part. But you know, she was so enthusiastic about the clothes she wore in Gentleman's Agreement, she had most of them copied for her own wardrobe.
Ones that actually come from using a strong soap or rubbing with cake soap. Ones that actually come from using a strong soap or rubbing with cake soap. These gradually weaken the delicate threads. With Lux Flakes, nylons last twice as long, and a famous laboratory actually proved this by strain tests.
Lots of girls have discovered that for themselves, John.